the thing we're all arguing about is the big if. The big if. Everything else is leaning towards AJ. It's the big if. If he lands with a shot, if that power is enough to rock or to make AJ change his game plan partway through. If. We've got 10 rounds to find out if that if it's going to happen.
I love what you said there as well, Johnny, because he wasn't supposed to give Tyson Fury any problems. Tyson Fury, #1 heavyweight in the world, but he did give him problems. How did he do it, guys?
The art of surprise. We slept on him. You know, before the fight, we slept on him. We didn't respect him enough. And again, it's boxing snobbery. You know, we look and think this guy can't come in from another sport to the world of boxing and do what he did. Tyson Fury slept on him. I believe Tyson Fury didn't give him the respect that we are giving him now. So he's not the only one that made a mistake. We all did it. So Ngannou showed a side to his artillery that made him the best in his field. This guy's a man mountain. This guy, you look at him, you can smell power. You look at him compared to Anthony Joshua. This is the biggest guy Anthony Joshua's boxed in his career. I don't mean height-wise. You look at him, and everything about him is he looks like a big athlete, not just a big unit. He's not out of proportion. He's not lanky. He's not got short legs, long arms. This guy is a big athlete. So I need to see if Anthony Joshua Friday night, as he was in his last fight and the fight before, and if that Anthony Joshua turns up with the same want, desire, energy, then we are going to be in for one hell of a display of boxing ability from Anthony Joshua.
It could be something very special, Johnny. Well, we're actually blessed with Andy's here this evening. Not only have I got Andy Clark, I've actually got Andy Scott having a little walk around. What's happening down there, Andy?
Congratulations, Dev. You have joined that esteemed group that can tell us apart, Andy Clark and myself. This is the walk that the fighters are going to be doing. This is ancient Greece, obviously. I mean, why wouldn't it be? But they're going to walk up this carpet onto the stage here. Everybody has a mark. We are going to pose the pure disappointment from these photographers here who are hoping to see some actual fighters. Bitterly disappointed. But look at this amphitheatre we've got here. The perfect setting for boxing theatre, and of course knockout chaos, and it is going to be chaos. Let me just bring you through here. So eventually, once the fighters, that worked perfectly in rehearsal, once the fighters have made their way up to the studios here where you guys are, they will then run the gauntlet of the YouTube circuit and the assembled world media. Plenty of talking for the fighters to do this week before Friday, when of course they meet in the centre of that ring. All lights come down and we will find out who really is the biggest puncher in world boxing.
Well, Andy Scott, loving life out here. And Johnny, this is your first time working on a Riyadh season kind of event. Just want to get your kind of initial take. You've been here for a few days now. Quite something, isn't it?
Good energy, good vibe. I didn't expect it to be so relaxed. I didn't expect what I'm seeing right now. I get it. I get the excitement. I get the vibe. I get what they're trying to create here. When you see it at home, you're left with all these preconceived perceptions of what it's going to be like out here. When you're actually here, this is like, it's fight fever. That's what it is. And this is the beginning of the week. You know, the fighters are turning up. The fighters are just going through the emotions. I think everything, it just clicks into place. I've seen boxing all over the world. I've seen how fights are built up slowly but surely. I'm now in a place where they're making boxing one of their main sports, and they're doing a good job of it as well. And I like what I see.
Listen, Andy, you got the chance to speak to both Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua yesterday. Usually, this is my perception, usually you are the coolest man in the room. But there were a couple yesterday that were a bit cooler than you. Very calm customers heading into this week.
Yeah, both of them were. They're on really good form. Ngannou he's got that big star vibe about him. When he walks into a room, you know that he's there, but he's got this real easy kind of confidence. And when you ask him any question, nothing seems to ruffle him. I wasn't particularly trying to ruffle him, but he's got an answer for everything because you know the backstory and you know what he's been through. But when he says, you know, I rolled the dice with my life to get to Europe 5-6 times in different ways, you know, he made that gamble. Getting in a boxing ring with gloves and a referee, it's not that big a thing for him. And I believe that. It's not just rhetoric, but Joshua seems different now. You know, he's been through the mill in his career. An awful lot has happened to him. And in the UK, we're very harsh on our sports stars a lot of the time. But in that last fight, Johnny, and you mentioned it before, he looked like, this is what I said to him yesterday, he didn't really want to talk about it too much, but said, but you just had clarity, real clarity for the first time in a while. And he said that was a factor. And as you said, if he gets in the middle of the ring and knows what he's about and executes, and he's a handful for anybody.
A complete handful, and everybody's thinking about the power that Ngannou possesses, and especially with him putting down Fury. I think it was the third round. Why did he jump to maintain the 10 rounds? He now knows he has. The problem is this: if he hits you anywhere with that kind of power, I thought I'd seen the biggest puncher in the world in Deontay Wilder on form. This guy, on record, he's a bigger puncher. So if he hits you anywhere on the body with a full force shot, I want to see what the reaction is going to be. Is that going to be a game changer? Now he knows what he can do, what he's capable of doing. He knows that he let himself down because he could have stepped up a little bit more. He's got a different opponent in Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a more traditional stand-up boxer, but he's sharp, he's strong, he's got the power going. Tyson Fury was elusive, unorthodox, but he still did a good job. So now, when he's got an orthodox fighter in front of him, as strong as Anthony Joshua, what will his approach be? How will he approach the fight? How will he deal with the fight? How will he put pressure on AJ? Or how will he box offensively or defensively? This is what we're going to find out this Friday night. Was it a fluke? Or all of a sudden are we seeing somebody new, a new kid on the block?
There were moments in the Fury fight where Tyson was trying to, like he usually does to people, just kind of clinch them, push them down. He couldn't do it.
Worst thing is, because remember, this guy is comfortable being up close and personal. You getting closer to him, he'll find his way out. He'll lean on you. The wrestling's going to make you tired. We as fight boxers, you know, you're going to box more than you're going to fight. He's comfortable fighting, and he's comfortable fighting on the inside. Common sense tells me he's got to get on the inside, make AJ fight, make him feel uncomfortable, make him grapple a little bit. The referee's going to have to be busy that night. But in all fact, when he's in tight, when he's in close, he's going to have, I think it'll benefit him on the inside more than it will benefit AJ. On the outside, it benefits AJ. And so it's a case of whose game plan is going to work. I think he's going to try and get inside, in close, because AJ, you look at the shots. Shot, you know, the left, you dominate the left, big right hand, bare from head to body. He's great at it. He's getting better at it, fight after fight after fight. Ngannou's not stupid. He's a former world champion. So and when you're a champion, you know how to devise a game plan to fight a man that's in front of you.
Fantastic. Fight fever insight there, Johnny Nelson. We're going to roll you. There's going to be a bit of rolling subs. We're going to swap you out, Mr. MBE, and we're going to bring in Mr. Matt Macklin, who's going to join us. Former middleweight world title contender. Could you still make middleweight? You look in good shape, Matt. Come on.
I was in better shape prior to Christmas. It just all went south after that.
We're just talking about tactics. Well, Johnny was about how AJ needs to keep away from Francis Ngannou. Tell me how you're seeing it.
Well, look, I think AJ should win comfortably. You know, he's former world champion, 2 times world champion. Well-schooled Olympic gold medalist, you know what I mean? It should be a non-contest if he does what he's supposed to do. You know, I think, look, he doesn't need to give Ngannou. Why bring Ngannou into the fight and get off in any trades? Like the way he boxed Ruiz in the second fight, kept it long, boxed him at length, tied him up when they got close. Don't get into those mid-distance exchanges with a guy who was faster hands and shorter. Now, you know, Ngannou, we know, carries massive one-punch power. So why get greedy and stand there throwing combinations and getting into exchanges and give this guy a chance? Don't bring him into the fight.
I think he does need to be more aggressive than he was against Ruiz, though. You know, really step into the middle ring and really give it to him, because this is a big, strong lad who just won't stop coming.
No, absolutely. Because, you know, and Ngannou isn't Ruiz. He's different. So I think he needs to be assertive like he was in his last fight. Come out, start sharp, be positive, and box with authority. You know, punches in that authority, make Ngannou think about what's coming at him. Not be as negative as he was. Let's
which is something that you see kind of top elite international amateurs do, but in the pros you can't do that. So I think he's got a book in his mind, think this is 10 hard rounds here, I'm going to have to keep hitting this guy and hitting him. I'm going to have sore hands at the end of this fight, is what he's got to think about, really.
Yeah, look, I think boxing by all means, but at the same time, make sure you get this guy's respect. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to just run away from him because he's going to cut your ring off, and he's going to invite more pressure on him. You've got to get Ngannou's respect, make him think about coming forward, but at the same time, you don't need to get involved in too many mid-distance exchanges.
But you're right, though. One thing that people aren't talking about in the build-up to this is, can Ngannou handle what Joshua's got power-wise? And we don't know, because Fury did land on him, but not all that hard. And he's not a massive puncher for heavyweight Tyson Fury. Perfectly respectable power, but not kind of Joshua power. So if Joshua does land on him, particularly early on, then we could see something that we're not expected to see. And we're getting used to seeing things we're not expecting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I doubt he's ever been hit as hard as what Anthony Joshua hits.
Well, that's the thing, because he's been in the UFC with smaller gloves against guys who who can punch. Alistair over him could punch. Maybe he has. We don't.
Yeah,
really
maybe. But we know Anthony Joshua's. He's scored some highlight reel knockouts, hasn't he, over the years in the heavyweight boxing? So, yeah, some of those guys are decent strikers, but it hasn't. Most of it hasn't been their MO. Do you know what I mean? It's usually it's more grappling and things. But so I'd say, look, if Joshua catches him flush,
he'll know about it.
He'll know about it.
Striking's different,
or not.
Yeah,
we don't.
it could be one of them.
Friday night.
Striking's different in MMA as well, because they'll look to land that right hand, but if they're orthodox, but they'll take that right leg in after it and kind of chase it in and then get hold. So they're not as set.
No.
But he's just. Ngannou, he just strikes you as a man who has got just a granite chin, doesn't he? Even though we've never really seen it. But what was really good about him in that Fury fight was he didn't do that when he threw his right hand. He had those solid boxing fundamentals, and I think that's what took everybody by surprise. He's well set up, he's composed. You'd expect him to be composed to a degree, but not as composed as he was.
No, he impressed me big time with his composure, because like you say, okay, we know he's been in combat sports and he's fine, but he's in there with the heavyweight champion of the world, and he never looked flustered at any stage of that fight. Even when Fury tried to spoil and lean, he was obviously the grappling background, he was good at getting his hands free and physical strength, nudged him off. He was brilliant with his distance. He basic, in and out, but he kept his distance. Even like when Fury was trying to feint him and lure him in, set traps for him, he never bought it.
Didn't care, did he?
No.
He let Fury come to him. He said, "Hey, you're the boxer. Come and deal with me then." But
I think that threw Fury a bit. I think his feet, how good he was at distance, I think that threw Fury off his game a little bit as well.
Whereas maybe Anthony Joshua counter-punching, he is quite good at that. Maybe that's going to be the route. But if Ngannou doesn't throw, could this even be a cagey fight?
I don't really think so, no, because I think Joshua's got to go out there and just try and impose himself on the fight. He doesn't want to be gung-ho or reckless, but there's been a lot of chat over the last few years about the old AJ, and a lot of it has been absolute nonsense. But what we saw against Wallin, that was it. Someone who would just take the centre of the ring, like I said, everything off the jab, punch with spike, punch crisp, punch through the target, work for that opening, and then when it came, take him out, which he would have done if Joey Gamache hadn't stopped the fight. And he was right to stop the fight, because he knew that the next thing was going to happen was that Otto Wallin was going to get knocked out cold, most likely. So I think Joshua has to, he can't give him any encouragement, can he? He doesn't want to stand off him and give him space, because if he gives him space, he'll take it.
But it's so funny, I always think about I love analogies, you know what I mean? I think of like Ocean's 11 when he says, don't look him in the eye, but don't look away either. When he's having that scene in the thing. It's a bit like that. You don't want to be gung-ho, reckless, fighting at mid-distance, giving him a chance, but you don't want to back off too much and let him think he can stop bullying you. You've got to go out there and be the boss and, be assertive, but you don't need to go gung-ho and reckless either. It's getting that sweet spot in the middle, getting the bit of both.
There's been a lot of talk about overcoming Ngannou's mind. Even Joshua mentioned it at the launch press conference. The one thing that he highlighted was his mind and trying to break his soul. But after what he's been through in his life, everything he's overcome...
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
How can he do it?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think that's going to happen either. And it was interesting to hear him pick up on that. And we chatted about it yesterday briefly. I got into it a little bit with the pair of them. And it's... You know, they're all capable of extraordinary physical things, potentially, all of these top, elite level athletes. Same for you when you were fighting, but it's the only way that your body can get to those heights is if it does what your mind tells it to. And with someone like Ngannou, his mind, the messages from the mind will always be instructing his body to just push it and keep pushing it some more. The only way I can see a stoppage here, really, unless he gets hit with something early that he doesn't see, in that case anyone can go, is if we get deep in the fight, it's gone really well for Joshua and he's bouncing his head around a bit and the referee decides that's enough now, because there's no quit in this guy.
No, but Joshua is a very good finisher. So if he does buzz him or shake him with a big shot, he's good at putting the shots together after that, and maybe the referee would jump in.
Well, here's Thomas Schreiber.
A great night of World Championship Boxing this Friday, live from Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It is being brought to you by Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing and Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry Promotions. In conjunction with Riyadh Season, National Events Center, the General Entertainment Authority, GIA, Gold Star Promotions, Gimmick, and Sella. We would first like to extend a big thank you to His Royal Highness King Salman bin Abdul Aziz, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, GIA, Turkey Al-Sheikh. Let's now welcome our participants, these first two competing this Friday night in a scheduled 4-round international heavyweight contest. First, let's welcome, coming to us from Sternberg, Czech Republic, undefeated with 2 wins, one of his 2 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome Martin Svarc.
Well, here comes Martin Svarc. He is the man who will be taking on Roman Fury on Friday night. Roman Fury, of course, the brother of Tyson, the brother of Tommy. And Martin looks ready to go, Andy.
This is just a dream scenario for fighters like Martin Svarc, because 1 minute you're waiting for the phone to ring to get a fight somewhere in Europe. You know, he's won his couple of fights so far, boxing at home, but he'll have been definitely in the market for going away, getting in that away corner, earning a few quid, and then you get a call from His Excellency to come to Saudi Arabia to box a Fury, and you sat on your sofa just thinking, hang on a second, what's going on here? I mean, this is, he can't, he'll be pinching himself, He will be pinching himself, and I guess that's a phone call that many fighters around the world are crossing their fingers, hoping comes through. Martin Svarc, who may well be brought in here for a chat, he is one of those fighters that got the call. But Roman Fury, this is his first fight up at heavyweight now. He's actually moving up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, just like his brother. Let's see how he goes. Yeah, I did his debut actually at Doncaster Racecourse about 18 months ago, maybe something like that, and I thought he looked good that night. No amateur background, but still he had pretty good basics, and he was realistic. He was giving interviews before the fight, but not many, and he was saying, listen, if I could win an area title, that'd be great. And it's quite refreshing to hear that, because everybody's talking about becoming a multiple weight world champion within kind of 2 or 3 years, and I don't mind that, ambition is great, but when you hear someone say, look, I just want to get that first rung on the ladder and let's see what happens after that, I'm a fan of that too. Yeah,
it's nice to hear someone setting achievable goals, and that doesn't mean they're not going to set more goals past that, but they're not looking too far ahead. No point looking further than you can see. Get there. Once I'm there, I'll set new goals, and that's a nice way to go about it, I think.
Well, inevitably, he's going to be getting call-outs from the misfits and the YouTube world, just like his brother Tommy has been getting. But he does sound like he really wants to do things traditionally, do things the right way, and you've got to credit him.
Well, I think we did one of his fights, I think, at your call, and he looked pretty solid. For what he's had, for the experience he's had, he was pretty good. He had decent fundamentals. Yeah. His southpaw body whipping the left hands in. I liked what I saw. Like I say, there's no point comparing him to Tyson Fury, who was great amateur and all the rest of it. For how long he's been boxing, I thought he did okay.
Yeah, me too. He's got a rugby league background. He made some good strides in that sport. I think he's the 9th Fury to turn pro. I think it's something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them, of course. We don't know yet whether or not Tyson Fury will be there in town to support his brother Roman, but we're going to bring in Martin Svarc, who's going to come for a quick chat with us ahead of him taking on a Fury on Friday night here in the Kingdom Arena. And Martin looks game, looks ready to go. Please come in, please come and join us, Martin Svarc. I think he's going to park up next to you, Matt. So you're going to do a bit of lollipopping. Martin, how are you, sir? How are you feeling about being here? A great event.
Yes, I feeling good. This is beautiful and amazing place, and this yes for me.
It's what you were saying, Andy. Like a lot of fighters are just hoping they get the call, and what a dream scenario to be in on Friday for Martin.
Absolutely. Could you describe the moment when you got the call and you were asked to come here, and what was going through your mind?
And now let's welcome from
this is dream for me.
Undefeated with 3 wins, one of his 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Martin. We're going to give that mic back to Matt Macklin. Watch Roman Fury make his way now. I mean, he's been trailing his brothers. He's been following Tommy Fury. He's been following Tyson Fury. And now he gets his chance on the big stage. 6'2" as well. I was speaking to John yesterday. John's obviously very proud. You know what John's like, a very, very proud father. But he says he's found his power now. He's doing a bit more S&C. The body shape is changing. Yeah. He's found a bit of a dig.
Yeah, well, I think, and technically probably just planting his feet a little bit more, which really putting power into the shots of the poster. You know, you talked about it earlier, punching and looking for scoring the point, but you're not getting much meat on it. You know, in the pro boxing, you got to sit down. Yeah, you're holding your feet and potentially get caught more. But if you want to land some power shots, that's what you have to do.
Started boxing immediately. He wasn't like from a 5-year-old hitting the pads. He wasn't a Tyson. He actually came to it very, very late, Andy.
Yeah, he did. And actually, when you watch him, it impresses you because I think he's learned a lot in a short space of time, and he strikes me as being a good student. I think he listens to what you tell him and tries to put it into action. I was quite surprised when I saw that he's moved up to heavyweight, but he looks pretty good on it, to be honest. At cruiserweight, it looked like that might suit him. And, you know, with this new Bridgerweight division, with the WBC and the WBA, you know, never mind what people think about it. It's there, it's real. So if you're between 200 and 224 now and you feel like that's your best weight, then there's opportunities out there for you, because a heavyweight, say like Usyk's between those weights, but he wants to box for the top prizes. He's not interested in that. So in a way, it is a little bit of a, without wishing to be detrimental, it's a bit of a subcategory, and opportunities could come there that they wouldn't at other weights. And if that's where he is, then that kind of makes sense to me.
Well, having that Fury surname, it is inevitable that there'll be a bit of a target on his back, and there will be opportunities presented to him that maybe other fighters won't necessarily get as quickly as he does. Yeah,
well, you just said the good and the bad there. You know, the bad is you get compared to, there's pressure on you, but the good is it does open up doors.
Well, that's exactly that. And look, I can see Roman Fury. I think he's going to join us very, very shortly. But it will be interesting to see if Tyson does join us on Friday night. There's been some reports saying he's going to come, some reports saying maybe not. But I don't know. I hope to see him there, watching on for Joshua Ngannou.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be good. I mean, he's back in the gym, isn't he? We've seen that, having a bit of a workout. I was kind of, you know, trying to see if I could zoom in and sort of peer at the cut, but you know, no joy there. But good to see him, you know, getting a sweat on again, because even when you've had stitches, you know, it can be a while before you're really even allowed to do that. So that's kind of a positive sign. But I'd have thought we probably will see him. He's used to coming here, isn't he? And Roman's staying in, you know, where Tyson has his training camps too. So
well, here is Roman Fury. Roman, great to see you. Normally you're around Tommy, normally you're around Tyson. Now it's all about you, young man.
It feels great to be the one fighting, you know, rather than just supporting. I've had the Tommy and Tyson treatment, and you know, I want more of it. So this Friday I'm looking to put in a great performance, you know.
And it feels like a stage fit for a Fury.
100%, you know. This is like the home of the Furies now, isn't it? And I'm looking to be another one added to the list.
So could you just talk us through the move up to heavyweight? Because
what's that?
Talk us through the move up to heavyweight, because I saw your pro debut in Doncaster when you're at cruiser. I thought you looked good at cruiser, but do you feel better at heavyweight?
Yeah, listen, you've got to go with what weight you feel best at. And me around 16 stone, 15 stone, 10, I'm just a different animal rather than that 14 stone. So, I'm going off that, and yeah, you just got to go off what you feel good at, and I feel strong and powerful and confident, and that's the main thing, isn't it?
And do we know if Tyson will be attending on Friday?
I can't hear you, sorry.
Will Tyson be attending on Friday?
Yeah, of course, yeah. He'll be here. Tommy's flying in tomorrow, so I've got all support in the world. And it gives me that added motivation to put on a great performance. I don't want to let them down, do I?
There was a lovely moment yesterday with John and Anthony Joshua. What did you make of all of that? It looked like a lot of respect there.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe a little bit of something, but it was all respect as it should be. My dad's always had a lot of respect for Joshua, as he should. He's a great boxer, and he's shown there. Great.
You got a knockout last time out. Are we going to get another knockout, your second consecutive on Friday?
100%. I'm extremely confident. Come on the knockout, let's go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Roman. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much. Roman Fury there. And now I think Zizo, a young man who's really a bit of a flag bearer for Saudi boxing. We've just seen on the screen there Ziyad Almaayouf. I think you've commentated on most of his fights.
Yeah, I've seen all of his fights. He made his debut, I think, on Usyk Joshua 2, and then he was on a couple of AJ undercards, and then he was here as well on the undercard of Jake Paul against Tommy Fury, where he had a hell of a fight. He was in with this Ecuadorian lad. He was 19 years old, 5-0, so from Quito in Ecuador, so born at high altitude. And boxed his whole career at high altitude. So I remember thinking to myself, this kid is going to have an unbelievable engine. And I spoke to him during the week. Rodolfo Martinez, his name was, and he had some real attitude about him as well. He wasn't bothered about the stage. He wasn't bothered about anything. And he put Ziyad down in the first round. And he had to really dig in and win it over 4 rounds. If you get put down in the first round of a 4-rounder, you've got a massive problem. But he managed to dig out the win. And Buddy, your old trainer, I was looking at him and he was just thinking, what on earth is going on here? But he managed to get him through it. But it was a hell of a fight. He's that kind of a fighter. He's good to watch. He's just good fun to have around.
He'll benefit a lot from being with Buddy, won't he, Matt?
Oh, definitely. So much knowledge, experience, and a cool guy. You know what I mean? He can have a laugh and a joke. He doesn't take things too seriously, so he'll enjoy being around him. Great on the pads as well, and he won't burn you out. He old school.
It was a nice moment yesterday. I think he's now signed with 258 management, and him and Anthony Joshua, it may have been for the first time that they met, and he looked absolutely starstruck. I mean, AJ does have that effect on these younger fighters coming through, and he's now part of that management group. It looks like he's going to a good place.
No, absolutely. He's got Paul Smith managing him, Buddy, AJ. It's a dream, and he treats it like that. He doesn't take anything for granted. He's absolutely delighted to be here. You'll see him smiling from ear to ear all week, and he just really enjoys fighting. I mean, you'll appreciate this. When he started as pro, he went over to Los Angeles, and it kind of coincided with COVID, but he went to the wild card. And sparring didn't go well for him like the first few times. I think he did his eardrum and then his ribs, and it was painful. It was absolute misery. But
Sounds like a normal week in a wild card.
but he kept going. He stuck at it, and I think Buddy was thinking to himself, I'm probably not going to see this kid again. That was rough. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, when he was healed up, he was back. And I think he thought at that point,
he's got a bit about him.
Yeah,
a bit of character there. Fair play to him. Yeah, definitely.
Only boxes on big shows.
I can't stop looking at Andy
let's
Clark's
talk about
attire here, man.
Can you talk us through the entire outfit, please, Andy Clark?
Bruce Lee on the commentary team.
So I invested in a few of these after we came over at the end of last October, because I've got like a Nigerian one that I got married in, actually, which I brought with me because it kind of fits in with what people wear here, and it went down well. So where I live in East London it's basically probably about 90% Muslim population where I am, and so on Greene Street, near the old West Ham ground, actually, some people watching this will know where that is. I'm not going to go full Partridge and do
Enter the Dragon.
But there's plenty of places to buy a few, so I bought a few and brought them over. They're really comfortable, Macklin. Really comfortable. You should invest in one. No ties.
I'm jealous.
Next time we should all be wearing one next time. And here,
I feel underdressed.
Here is Zizo. Great to see you, my friend.
We're on stable ground.
We are live. You must be so proud of what the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia are doing here. This is amazing.
This is definitely another level. It all comes back to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and His Excellency the most influential figure in boxing and MMA now, Turki Al-Sheikh. This is just the beginning, believe it or not, and you know, but I feel like this is the cherry on top now, having the Saudi fighter on one of these cards. I'm just feeling blessed,
And you only box on big shows, don't you?
Yeah, you know, it is. That's what I'm saying. You know, with a lot of pressure comes a lot of privilege, and that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm ready to live up to it, though. You know, enjoying the moment, trusting the process, bit by bit.
So I was telling Matt used to be trained by Buddy McGirt.
Yeah,
So
I saw him first fight.
I was telling Matt earlier on how hard it was for you in the early days in LA with the sparring and the injuries and just how tough it was for you. And he knows all about that, but it really set you in good stead, didn't it?
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, I grew up with no boxing ring, no boxing bags, no boxing equipment, no boxing on TV up until I moved abroad, and only a few years before I moved abroad. The first time I learned a proper body punch that's not as straight to the body is when I moved abroad, you know, and so it's just, the story is so exciting because you could relate to it outside of sports, outside of boxing, and ultimately that's what I want to do. I want to touch as many lives as I can outside even of boxing, outside of sport. You start as the boxer, then the athlete, then the figure. That's what I want to do if God allows me to do it, you know. I'm just ready for anything to go at any time. I have to earn it every day.
I saw you on the front cover of Vogue magazine as well. You're doing all right, Zizo.
Don't get me started on that. See that. That's why we have to like live up to it a little, right?
Goodness me.
Not like something, but like he's wearing. No, I wish I had that. Yeah. Exactly.
Everybody does, Zizo. Everybody does.
Yeah.
You can't follow this guy.
Yeah, it's just building the brand, and following your passions. You know, life peaks when you stop caring about what other people think. And I believe like just following your passions and breaking barriers and stigmas that we might have on this side of the world, where yes, you could be in the fashion industry, yes, you could be in the creative and design industry, you could be in the movie industry, whatever you want to do, you can do it in this monumental era of Vision 2030 and a monumental and golden era for boxing too.
You had a wonderful moment yourself yesterday with Anthony Joshua. I think it's gone kind of boxing viral.
Yeah.
Lovely exchange there. How did you feel about that?
It was a dream come true. You know, I felt like Santiago Munez from the movie Goal, or Alex Hunter from FIFA. That's what I felt like, I swear, you know. Just meeting an idol, you know, growing up in the system where I've grown up with, you can't even dream far enough to see them live. But to then meet them, to then work with them, and then to start exchanging knowledge from a boxing great is something else, you know. It's a dream come true, honestly. And we were both relating and speaking about the pressures and handling the expectations of having a country and a whole side of the world for me behind me in the Arab world and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So it was just such an honorable conversation that I'm very happy I had.
And do you think he can get it done in the main event? Can he beat Francis Ngannou?
Oh, I know he can get it done. You know, I know he can get it done. If you have it mentally right on the night, you can get anything done against anyone.
Fantastic. Lovely speaking to you, Zizo. We're going to let you go. Right, thank you so much. There he is. Oh, well, there we go. I'm no good at the handshakes. No good at the handshakes at all. You can see a giant of a Ukrainian heavyweight about to make his way, and actually we're going to do a little swap here. We're going to swap out Mr. Macklin for Mr. Johnny Nelson, who's joining us again. Johnny, welcome back. Look at the shadow boxing.
I'm getting excited. It's the old fighter in me. I've seen everybody rock up now. It's what happens fight weeks. When the fighters start to turn up, you think, yes, I like this. So Eddie and I just had a little conference down there. So that was interesting.
How did that go?
It went well.
I'd love to see that. I think there's going to be plenty of viral clips, I'm sure, of you and Eddie's little confrontation. Have you done any of these kind of events where you arrive early in the week and you do your photos and then you go off?
But for most fighters that are fighting on a bit like this, you don't want to do this. It's the last thing. You're obligated to doing this, and this is where the problem lies. So they're going to turn up, do as little as possible, and get out of there, because you're building yourself up for a fight. So you don't want to be distracted. You don't want somebody to spook you saying the wrong thing or whatever. You just don't want this, but you've got to do it. This is the downside of fighting. The upside is getting in the ring and fighting. So this is for us. This is for the public. This is to sell the fights, to sell the tickets. You know, but the fighters, it's the last thing they want. I don't know many fighters, probably bar Tyson Fury that want to be in this position, because this is the week where you can get in the head of your opponent. You've hated him for the past 3 months. That's all you've dreamt about. That's all you've thought about. And all of a sudden, that person says something to you that spooks you, thinking, "Oh, I didn't think that." So this is the week where you just don't want to do it, but you've got to do it.
So with that in mind, though, what's unusual about this whole situation is when you've got someone like Ngannou who's appeared at the top end of this sport, and nobody in it would have felt like they would be fighting him. Joshua felt like he knew who his rivals were, so he's really only met him once at the press conference. So does that make it slightly different this week? Because this isn't someone you've seen around loads. You might really want to have a bit of a look at him and see how he is with all of this during the week, and have another look in his eyes. I mean, there might be a bit more to be gained from, these two big dogs circling each other.
And in the case of the curse of boxing is this: if you've got an opponent and he drops out and they put somebody else in, it's hard for you to emotionally and mentally give that man the respect and the same fear factor you would if your original opponent, because you think this guy ain't got a chance. AJ's got to get into his head, this guy is dangerous. I have to respect this guy, regardless of this being his second professional boxing match. Now, AJ looking at him now, that's kind of a good thing, because looking thinking, man, this guy's big up close and personal. This guy's a unit. This guy looks apart. So now that might be exactly what he needed. That might be exactly where he needed to go.
Well, we've got another unit, another man who looks the part, a man who looks...
The sun's gone out!
Yeah, the sun's
Hello
gone
guys,
out.
hello Saudi Arabia.
How are you feeling? This is incredible, right? This is what dreams are made of.
It's really my dream, Very good people, amazing food, amazing arena, Kingdom Arena. I like this, and I'm doing very good box, Ukrainian style, and we will be the best.
This is a man who punches very, very hard. I was speaking to his coach yesterday. They're expecting big things.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got the size, you've got a spectacular record so far as well. It's not been easy for you, your pro career, has it? Because you had to go to America basically because of what's happening in Ukraine. You haven't been able to box in Ukraine so far, but how has that whole situation been for you?
Of course, I support for Ukraine. I'm missed for my people, for my country, but now I'm in United States. I'm living in the United States. I support the Ukraine from the United States, and now I'm support the Ukraine from Saudi Arabia.
Tell me this. I was speaking again to you and your coach yesterday. Fascinating guy, former fighter, of course, as well. He's expecting you to knock this guy out. He speaks with a lot of passion about how hard you hit. Do you think you will get the knockout on Friday?
Of course, I'm working left hand, but if I have a change, I'm doing my right hand, and you can show.
What about the main event? How do you see Joshua against Ngannou?
Oh, it's a really main event, and Gwyn is the best guy. I like Joshua. When I see Joshua in my when I'm youngest, I see the Joshua. Wow, it's a really boxing phenomenon. I like this guy. But
are you inspired by the success of course, your countryman Alexander Usyk? You look at him. Are you inspired by him? You think he can do it, so I can do it. I can be top dog as well.
Of course, yes. A lot of Ukrainian boxer motivation me. Klitschko brother, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua is a big, strong guy, And every time, big tough guy beat a little tough guy,
We were speaking yesterday. John Fury was with us as well. What was it like meeting John Fury? Also a very colourful character. Saw you two together.
Yes, very good guy, good man. He's very strong, very interesting, and we speak with my coach, with John Fury, and he's a really cool guy. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And tell me one final thing. What do you think of your opponent on Friday? Because he's done a bit of bare knuckle boxing as well. He looks like a bit of a fighter.
Yeah, he wanna beat me, but my leg is fast, and I don't give to punch me, and any chance. I don't give him any chance.
And that is the coach just telling our man Rampage here. Thank you so much, Rampage. We'll give the mic back to Johnny.
Thank you, guys.
In action on Friday night. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Johnny, let me bring you in straight away. The fella's a unit.
I love the excitement and the naivety of youth. You see him, he's buzzing. I love seeing that in fighters. I'm an old fighter, so you see yourself in these young guys thinking, I can't wait to get stuck in. He's buzzing by all of this, excited by all of this. That's a good thing. That's one thing that makes our sport so special. It brings out the best in individuals. It brings out, it gives you opportunities and puts you in places that you'd never ever think or think you'd ever be. So I actually like the energy from it.
Well, we can see Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren has now entered the arena. We saw him arrive along with George last night. They received their flowers. I love these flowers. All these videos that go. It's fantastic stuff, Andy.
Absolutely, and it just takes you back to the red carpets we did ahead of Fury and Ngannou, and Frank and Bob Arum made their entrance together, didn't they? A nice, slow kind of presidential walk from the pair of them, two Hall of Fame promoters just swaggering in, slow swagger. It was great, and that just gave us a real sense of the scale of everything. We're in Times Square, New York for that one, weren't we, here in Boulevard World? And yeah, that really kind of set the tone. And I mean, you look at just everybody that's here, everybody that's working together. This is a collaboration. We've got our DAZN colleagues next to us. Everybody is just getting on, helping each other out. We're all here for the same thing. This is how it should be, isn't it? This is how it should be.
What did we think of the promo? A couple of things. Firstly, amazing promo. But secondly, Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou had to hold their fist next to each other's chin. How would that have gone down?
So first of all, with the promo, I was with those guys, did a bit of film with them yesterday. Loved it, wicked, cool. I'm a big fan. I'm like a little kid in a sweet shop with that. And I thought, how have you got these two guys to do this? So is it? Did you just put the heads on a body? I don't know how it's done, but I think it's something new, something different. I think the creators of that. Genius. Grabs your attention. When I saw something like that shown on TV back home, mainstream TV back home, even they're impressed with it to grab your attention. And the whole point is they want to grab the attentions of the kids, the grandmas, the grandfathers, everybody going. And that's exactly what they've done.
These are like Hollywood film trailers. It's like the whole thing is this whole Street Fighter 2 kind of vibe. I've heard all sorts of stuff about what's going to happen here with these screens as well. But hey, back to the jeopardy. If Anthony Joshua loses to Francis Ngannou on Friday night, it could be game over, right?
It could be, because it would be a difficult defeat to recover from, because, okay, if he beats Joshua and then goes on and beats some other people, then in retrospect it won't seem so bad, but you're living in the moment. Your time is here and now, and it would be a major, major setback, and he knows it. He knows it. There's jeopardy attached at the top end of any sport, but particularly in boxing, not just because you can lose, but just because the manner of defeat sometimes can be really, really damaging, and given the game of snakes and ladders it is, if you lose, you can find yourself on the outside really, really quickly. So the price attached to defeat is heavier. It's heavier than it is in other sports. And I love the whole computer game analogy, because that's when you look at the energy bars on the screen, that's kind of what it's about. When you're scoring a fight, that's what it's about. You've got a full energy bar at the start of the round, and the guy who wins the round is the one whose bar is fullest come the end of the round. It's just I'm a tedious man when it comes to scoring, and that for me has always really worked. So when they did this, I was all over it right away. But as you said, every single promo that we've seen has been spectacular. And Joshua is in under no illusions here. This is a big task, because it's always going to be on this kind of stage, and he absolutely must win. There is no other option.
Well, Johnny, you've spoken about the jeopardy for Anthony Joshua. You've spoken about how he could be remembered in the event of defeat. I think these are comments that led to you being called a hater by certain quarters.
He's here, Eddie. I just saw him.
I already spoke to him. So, and these things are taken out of context. And what I'm saying by that is to be, fans can be very fickle. And you cannot ignore the success Anthony Joshua's had from starting boxing at 18 years old, became an Olympic champion, a two-time heavyweight champion of the world. So right now, the fans are you either love you or hate you. This is what they're going to remember you for, what happens in your last fight. They forget about all the successes you had. It's like when Amir Khan boxed Kell Brook, and Kell Brook turned him over. They're forgetting the resume that Amir Khan had, because that's just life. That's human nature. So now with this fight happening here, Anthony Joshua, my frustration is, why are you giving this man a chance? If he had a choice, I would have picked him. Because how do you recover? I'm an ex-fighter. How do you recover from something like that? That's all I'm saying. How would you do it? And that's where my brain is.
Well,
John Fury's in.
John Fury is in. Delighted to be joined by big John Fury. Johnny, you're going to kind of hold the mic to him. Let's
one
have a
in,
chat.
one out.
No, Big John, welcome. Great to see you.
And you, Dev.
If I can bring you around a little bit, please.
Yeah, sure.
So tell us how you're feeling to be here. I mean, this is incredible. You've been out here for all of them so far. How are you feeling?
Yes, third time now, and it's an amazing event. And Roman's a lucky boy with just 3 fights to be on such a great venue. The place, I love it. Fabulous people. That's where boxing's at, Saudi Arabia now. And we're just grateful to be here.
You spoke with so much pride yesterday about Roman and how he's finding a bit more power as well. He's doing all right, isn't he?
Well, listen, he's a kid. He's never boxed amateur. 2 years ago or 3 years ago in lockdown, he decided he wanted to box, come down from 20 stone, and he's dedicated himself and he changed his life around. He's 3-0. He had a knockout last time. But like I say, if he's guided properly, get him out as much as possible. He's up against a live opponent, this kid. So yeah, should be good.
Yeah. John, what's it like watching your sons box? Because I know it's in the blood. You're a fighting family. It's not, you expected them to do this, but they're still your boys. I mean, how nervous is it for you?
Johnny knows I've been around the game a long time, as long as him. I borrowed this man's dressing gown when I had my first fight. and his boots. So, I'm used to it, I'm used to it and I just love it. I just want to do well. And when they shine on big shows like Tyson out here, the greatest shows on earth, and we're lucky to be part of it, and I'm still alive to enjoy it. So I'm flying.
Tell us a little bit about the main event. Well, tell us first, actually, you met Anthony Joshua for the first time yesterday. You had a lovely, respectful moment and interaction with AJ. How was that for you?
I've always liked Anthony Joshua. I've never said anything wrong about him. He's a great fighter, Olympic gold medalist, and he's done a lot for boxing. Let's not forget that, and he is a good fighter, and he will be a world champion again. But I couldn't get over how really big he was. The man's a unit, but he's always been a nice guy, a respectful man. He showed me respect. He was lovely, and it was heartfelt. And I got nothing but admiration and respect for Anthony Joshua. It was a great moment for me, yeah.
But he's got a hard fight on Friday night, John.
Pardon?
He's got a hard fight on Friday night.
There's only him can make it hard. If he boxes and he uses what he's got, he boxes properly, keeps his head, sticks to a game plan, he'll win on points. If he mixes it with a big puncher, Ngannou's a unit. He's had Tyson on the floor. Tyson said he can really bang. Probably the hardest he's been in with, including Deontay Wilder. He's got to be careful. But AJ's got the skill set. He's got the power himself. And who knows? He has this effect on fighters, doesn't he? Where they just melt in front of him. But don't rule an AJ knockout either. But it's going to be AJ on points, I think. I'm going more for the points because Ngannou's a strong man. And he's a man with belief in himself. He's super fit, 19 stone. He's got to be careful as well.
He's basically said this is old school. He said exactly the same as how I see the fight, how the fight should turn out. AJ's got far too much pedigree, far too much seasoning for anything else to happen. The only way this happens is if you get involved and give a man a chance that shouldn't have one. So he gives him a chance by standing there, getting involved in the tournament with him. If he does that, then of course the unthinkable could happen. But he has the power, he has the boxing ability to do everything else but.
Did he shock you that in terms of Francis Ngannou and his performance, he was able to switch southpaw, strong as a bull? Was there anything that shocked you in that first fight with Tyson Fury?
Well, I knew from the off it was going to be very difficult with a man that size, and let's not forget he's been a world champion, and what he does, he's been elbowed in the face, he's been nutted in the face, he's been, drop kicked in the face. This guy's a tough cookie, and he can fight. He closes the distance well. He's in front of you and he's making you work and think all the time, Ngannou. It's not an easy fight, but I just think AJ's experience, 2-time world champion, former, and let's have it this way, experience, I think it'll see him through. And AJ's got the power to take him out. And he's there to be it. He's there to be it, but he's got to be so careful.
Just before we let you go, we've seen some footage the last few days of Tyson back in the gym doing a little bit. How's everything with him?
Well, listen, he needed to change it around dramatically from last time. I don't know what went wrong. He didn't look himself physically or mentally. He wasn't there, and all fighters have off nights. But He's got the bit between his teeth. He's training hard. I'm happy with him because I'm the biggest critic. I'm the biggest critic Tyson's got. If he's not right, I'm going to tell him. Because I'm not looking to keep a job. I'm looking to keep him a reigning world champion. So I'm going to tell him how it is. But more than impressed, he's got his weight down. He's ready to go. The cut was unfortunate, you know, because I think Usyk was going to face the best Tyson Fury. And the Ngannou fight stood him in good stead, believe it or not. And if he can get up off the floor from this serious banger like Ngannou, I don't see a problem. But he's got a box. It's wit against wit, and it's who's the cleverest that's going to win the fight. But when they do fight, Tyson's going to stop him. Around about 8-9 rounds.
Well, Tyson said himself yesterday he can stop him within 7 rounds, so yours is pretty much in keeping.
Yeah. What I've been seeing of Tyson, he's had great sparring for that fight. I was watching footage only this morning. You know, he's a different animal now. It's the old Tyson with more experience. The skill set's still there, the speed's still there, and he's got the eye of the tiger back. So let's enjoy him.
Fantastic speaking to you, Mr. Big John Fury. We're going to let you go.
Johnny,
thank you, sir.
Beautiful. Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm still there. There you go. Thank you, Big John Fury. Just going to have a little shuffle round, the little Andy Clark shuffle with the... Loving that. It just works, you know. But
I've got a few more of these.
Great to hear from Big John.
You know what? It's like we're singing off the same hymn sheet, and it's just, I suppose it's who delivers the message. And John, like him or not, he says how it is. He's a straight shooter, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to boxing. They've always said that. He might be a bit loud, might be in your face, but he'll say it how it is and be very straight. When you saw him with Anthony Joshua yesterday, it was nice, it was respectful. It was like, you could tell that professional respectability was there. When Tyson has to fight when his son has to fight AJ, you know, the vibe may change a little bit, but all I'm saying is it's a good thing to see. You know, it's fine. We're all in the same business.
All in the same business, just like Kevin Lerena here. Kevin, great to see you again. The last time I saw you, you were giving Daniel Dubois quite the fight at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How's it feel to be here?
Absolutely surreal. It's phenomenal being here. Just great to be amongst fine human beings like you guys, and it's just surreal. I'm from South Africa. I tried my best at Tottenham. I fell short. Very, very short, but this time I'm coming, and you know, I'm 110% prepared. It's a heavyweight fight that can go any way, but I know ring IQ and being smart is what's going to win this fight, and I'm amped.
What did you take from that fight with Daniel Dubois?
I'll tell you what I took. Coming through adversity. It was the first time in my 11-year professional career that I found myself on my arse. I'd never been dropped in sparring. I'd never been dropped in a fight, and boom, I got dropped. So I had to learn how to take that. You know, obviously every fighter can get hurt in their career, but how you get through that, how you grow through that. So I technically say that loss was my biggest victory, because I grew as a human being and I grew as a fighter. So you're seeing a better Kevin Lerena today all round.
I like this fight because Justice Huni was a really good amateur. I watch him a lot as an amateur, and it interests me as well, actually, that you didn't really have any amateur experience at all, but you've done a lot as a pro. They feel like you would be an amazing name to get on their record and a great kind of building fight. And you know that, don't you? You know, you've been doing this a long time, but you can make your mark here.
Most definitely. You know, listen, credit to the guy. He's explosive. He's had 8 victories in the paid ranks, a big amateur pedigree, but this is professional boxing. I unfortunately never had any amateur fights in South Africa. It's not a big scene at the moment, so I never had that opportunity. But I can tell you what, I've had professional fights against tough opposition, so I've learnt and I've grown. And may the best man win, but I do think they've bitten off more than they can chew here.
And also, you're on the verge of boxing for a world title. You're interim champion at Bridge 8 with the WBC. You dropped down to that weight last year, didn't you, basically? Had a couple of fights. So, I mean, this one will be above that, won't it? But, you know, we could see Kevin Lerena as a world champion before long.
You know, if it's God's will, it will be done. But to be fair, I went down to Bridgerweight, got the WBC interim. I fought in my comeback fight after fighting Daniel. I never cherry-picked. I never fought an easy guy. I fought Rayard Murray, who's had, at the time, I think it was 30 fights, 29 wins. I beat him, and he just went on to beat Tony Yoka. So it shows, you know, I've always been one. I'm daring to be great. I'm trying my best to fight the best guys, because we don't know how long we have in boxing. But in the time that I have, I just want to achieve as much as I can, and my ambition is limitless.
Well, also in the time that you had, you've been sparring Tyson Fury. You've been used as one of his chief sparring partners ahead of the undisputed fight. What's that been like?
absolutely phenomenal. I was really treated well in camp, to be fair and to be honest. And Tyson's a big man, you know. I'm a very small heavyweight. Let's not lie to each other. I'm only 6 foot and 220 pounds. But I learned a lot because against Tyson, he's long, he's got the levers. You got to move your head. You got to get on the inside, and in order to get on the inside, you got to use a lot of energy expenditure. So being the smaller man, you got to work a little bit harder. But that also it's a big pro for me because it's not so easy for the bigger guys to fight the smaller man.
Well, Johnny, that's invaluable experience for Kevin Lerena here to be in the ring with Tyson Fury.
Listen, the development, what happens behind the scenes to develop you as a fighter, sparring with the best brings on so many fighters. I did that all the way through my career, sparring with the likes of Axel Schultz, Henry Mass, Fabrice Teoso. These guys are world champions, the best of the best. And so it develops you as a fighter. I remember going to South Africa and fighting Corey Sanders out there back in the day, and this guy was a unit. But sometimes when you lose, you learn a lot. When you get put down, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yes.
It makes you a better fighter down the road. Unfortunately, a lot of fighters today, when they lose, something adverse happens in their career, they think it's over. Well, actually, that's part of the learning. And the way he's talking, he's saying, you know what, I'm kind of glad that happened to me because it made me grow up to think, actually, I can take a shot, I can get back up again, and I'm actually a better fighter than what I give myself credit for. But you can tell how you're talking, how you're walking, how you're looking forward in your career. I like that.
Thank you, Johnny. Thanks for those words. Listen, man. May the best man win. You know, it's phenomenal to be here. And credit to His Excellency, Matchroom and Queensbury for putting on a phenomenal show, and Gold Star. I'm just humbled to be here. As you know, I said from South Africa, which you spoke about, big champions. I got big shoes to fill, but I'm just doing my best. And thanks to all of you. Thank you.
You were out there with Moses Italma as well, by the way. I saw a bit of a bromance developing with young Moses. How was all of that?
Oh, phenomenal. He's a phenomenal talent. You know, on the day that Tyson didn't use me for sparring, we sparred 6 rounds. He's an absolute phenomenal talent, and I wish him all the best in his career. I think, you know, he wants to be the next youngest heavyweight world champion. Can he be that? Most definitely. I just told him work hard and the sky's the limit, my man.
Fantastic stuff. Kevin, you speak so well. It's always wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
The man in the arena, Kevin Lerena. You like that, don't you? He's got a great energy, Kevin Lerena.
I do, and I love the enthusiasm and the naivety. I love a lot of young fighters coming through, and as I said, fighters, they need to understand the only way you get through wisdom is by good and bad experiences. And once you've been through it, it makes you a better fighter, it makes you a hungrier fighter, and that's what I like, and I loved how he spoke.
Well, speaking of hungry fighters, we've got a young, unbeaten buck here in Justice Huni. How does it feel to be here, Justice?
And it's amazing. You know, for me, it's, you know, I'm early in my career, so I'm just taking it all in as I go. It's an awesome experience to be fighting on a card this big. It's such an early stage in my career, so it's grateful to be here, to be honest.
It's only your second fight outside of Australia as well. It's quite the area to be fighting in.
Yeah, I know, man. Especially on a card like this, with the main event being so big. You know, like I said, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm blessed, man. Only 8 fights in, and to be fighting on a stage as big as next level for me.
And this is a serious fight that you've taken here, because it was a good step up against Andrew Tabati, former world title challenger at cruiser. But Kevin Lerena, you know, he's a seasoned, proven guy.
Yeah, southpaw, he's strong, man. Very explosive. I'm not taking this fight lightly, and he's got a lot of power behind him too. So yeah, I'm looking to stick and move, and you know, my amateur background, I think it will be enough to get me over the line.
I mean, you were a very good amateur. I saw you at the World Championships in 2019, and I was going to ask you, actually, it's all gone brilliantly as a pro. People probably think you haven't had that much adversity, but you missed the Olympic Games because of an injury. That must have been a very hard time for you.
Yeah, that was a massive setback for myself, but I took it on the chin and I kept moving forward, and now I'm here today. So you know, I've fought all over the world, many different styles, and you know, a lot of guys that have similar styles to Kevin Lerena, but you know, still can't take him lightly. He's got a lot of power. He's very explosive. So yeah, I'll be on my best performance come Friday night.
Do you think they've made a mistake in picking you as an opponent?
I don't know. I think it looks like I don't have much experience because I'm so you know, young in the professional game. But I've done a lot of years in the amateurs, and I fought all over the world. Had plenty of amateur fights with so many different styles. So I'm just excited to get in there and prove to everyone that I belong on this stage.
Johnny, you talk about a fighter's energy and the kind of energy that you can get from just being around them. What energy are you getting from this young man?
You say he's young, he's ambitious, he's looking. He knows his position in life, but he also knows what he wants to achieve. And the best thing to do is travel around the world, spar with the best, box all over the world, be taken out of your comfort zone. If you're taken out of your comfort zone and you still are able to perform, when your time comes, you'll step up to the plate, because only you have walked in your shoes. You've got the guts that it needs to make that one step further.
Well, Joe Parker, of course, is on this show as well. He must be someone that you look up to.
100%, man. I've had a few good chats with him so far, like being here. He's a very good mentor for a lot of Pacific Islanders coming up. So, he's even a big mentor for myself. So, I'm just grateful to be, performing on a card like this by his side. So, yeah.
Australian boxing's on a real roll too, isn't it? You look at Tim Tszyu, you look at the Maloneys, and particularly your stablemate Jai Opetaia, Sky Nicholson in the female side of the sport. This is a good time to be an Australian pro on the rise.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just a baby in this game, man. Like, I'm 24 years old. I've got a long way to go. But yeah, the sky's the limit for me, man. I just take it one fight at a time, and I think that's like all the Australian boxers coming up now. They see that it's possible, to make it in this sport and go as far as the guys and girls that are making it at the moment. So, I'm just grateful to be a part of it. It's a good time for Australian boxing at the moment.
How good of a time is it going to be for Australian boxing on Friday night? Can we expect a Justice Huni and Joe Parker double?
Oh man, it's a definite, man. Like, I'm leaving. I want to put on my best performance here come Friday night, just because I know once I put one good performance in over here, like, it sets me up, man. It sets me up, and hopefully I'll be back here in the future.
Thank you so much. Wonderful speaking to you, Justice.
Thank you.
What a great first name, by the way, Justice Huni. Of course, I talked about it being a great night for Australian boxing. Joe Parker's from New Zealand, isn't he?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think they'll let you off that. He won a gold medal at the World Youth Championships as well back in 2016. Beat Richard Torres. Torres, went on to win silver in Tokyo, top-ranked fighter. So he's a real... he can really fight, Justice Huni.
I actually feel really old when these youngsters come up. I boxed in Melbourne, Australia. I boxed in New Zealand. I'm like thinking, I boxed there, I was there. He was probably a baby when I was out there. So, but it's just nice to see the young breed coming through.
Absolutely, Johnny. We're going to swap you out again. I'm sorry, Mr. MBE. See ya, Johnny Nelson. Let's bring in Matthew Macklin. Matthew, you've been having a little walk around. It looks like it's pretty buzzing down there.
And now let's
definitely. I think these things you start, undercard, start building towards the main event, and you just get a nice gradual build-up.
Let's talk a little bit about Joe Parker and Zhilei Zhang. For me, a fascinating fight. Tell me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, interesting fight. So I think it's funny boxing. You're as good as your last fight. Everyone's the perceptions. So going into Wilder fight, I thought Wilder was. You're never certain, but a hot favourite. And then we'd see Wilder AJ. Obviously, that didn't happen. Parker looked really good. I do think the relationship with him and Andy Lee it's a good one. I think Parker's really improved with Andy. He believes in what he tells him. You can see that when in the corner he's listening to what he's getting told. And he was really good. Wilder was bad. Wilder was poor. Inactivity, 1 round in 2 years. He was terrible. But he still stayed out the way and got the win. And he's been busy. He's been active. So, look, he's got to do it. Zhang's a big lump. He can bang. Got to try. He cuts the ring off good. Southpaw. Can Parker stay out the way? I don't know. It's a good fight.
Well, that's what we'll find out. Let's speak to a young man who has the opportunity of a lifetime on Friday night. Louis Greene from Southern area, from Strood to the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels unreal. But like I just said, I don't really take as much of it in as I should do as I mean to have a fight. So I don't really lock myself away, and I'll enjoy it after. even if it's only for a short amount of time. I can't really think of anything else.
That's your whole career, that'll be. You'll go through it all, and then afterwards you go, that was brilliant, that was. Yes. I didn't enjoy it at the time.
Yeah. But no, it's surreal being here. It's unbelievable. It's a great country, great atmosphere, but you can't. I'm here to have a fight, so I don't really think of it as anything else other than that. You know.
But it's a good fight for you, this, isn't it? You had a great fight against Sam Gilley, and then after that, you lost your Commonwealth title, unfortunately, and you're looking for a way back in, and then something like this comes up. It's perfect for you.
Well, after I think 2 of my losses, I've gone straight over and fought unbeaten boys abroad. I don't want to do the common thing, which is get someone to come in and they move around and you win. I don't want to do that. I don't want to retire from boxing and have that as my resume. I want to be in the best fights, hard fights, exciting fights, big fights, all of the time. So when I do decide that enough's enough, I can look back and I've done it all, and I've been everywhere, and I've always put up a real serious fight and beat some good boys, unbeaten boys.
And you can watch some of these events and actually take them in, I guess.
Well, get to watch AJ. I mean, this is the biggest stage at the minute for boxing, isn't it? So, yeah, it's unbelievable.
What do you make of Jack McGann?
The same as I make of everyone I fight. He's unbeaten, and we're going to get out there and have a good fight. That's what I make of every fight. I don't take nothing lightly. Every fight is an hard fight to me, anyway.
So I think it'd be fair to describe you as old school, and your nickname, the Medway Mauler. I'm guessing that is a tip of the hat to Jack Dempsey from way back in the day, 100 years ago. He was the kind of guy who'd fight anyone, anytime, for anything. And that's you, isn't it?
It's a bit. I don't really think of it. A few people say that sort of stuff. I don't really think of it. I think this is the fight business, and I think sometimes people leave it too long before they want to really get that adrenaline rush and to test themselves. And I love the feeling of the adrenaline and the test every time. I mean, I've watched Matthew and a few barnstormers. When you look back at them, it's unbelievable.
Well, listen, I love that attitude, because I think that's what we're fighters, what we're in it for. We're going to sit around like as businessmen and not take fights. I just want to do the fight, win, lose. Yeah. Win, lose. Listen, if you've got the attitude that I want to go in and test myself and find out how good I am and be the best I can be, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. Right. But at least you'll retire at the end of it knowing you gave it everything.
Yeah,
in a 10-round contest, it will be for the vacant.
Took this fight on short notice and flown 6 hours to think of a loss. No way. I ain't thinking about
let's welcome.
Well, best of luck to you, Louis Greene. Wonderful speaking to you. Try and take some of it in. It's wonderful around here.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Thank you, Louis. I think we'll grab a chat with Jack McGann, who will be joining us very, very shortly. If you want to give the mic back to Mr. Macklin over here.
Chamberlain.
Louis Greene. He's got a great fighter energy, hasn't he? Fantastic fighter energy.
Yeah, great mentality, great attitude. I like, it is old school these days. It shouldn't be, but it has become an old school attitude.
Well, let's bring in the man that he'll be taking on Friday night, Jack McGann. Jack, how are you, sir? How are you feeling? Hey, you know Riyadh very well now. You do pretty well out here.
Yeah, do you know what? I've just been saying then, I was only here in October, and how much it's changed from now to then. That's a different place, so it's, I do love it here, but it's that's a new place to me, even though I'm back, you know what I mean?
It was quite a spectacular knockout that you scored last time. You've got a Duran on your record now, so congratulations.
Yeah.
But how do you see this one going on Friday?
I'm under, with Louis and the style he brings, I'm under and the experience he's got, I'm under no delusion this is going to be the toughest test of my career. But I also think that pressure is going to bring out the best performance in myself. So I'm ready for a tough night, but I'm the best I've been, and it might go all the way, it might go short where the stop me, I don't know, but I'm ready for whatever Louis Greene brings.
I mean, your career could really fly this year, because you're mandatory to fight Sam Gilley for the vacant title, the vacant British title. If you get the win against Louis Greene, who Sam beat recently, of course, then you can fight for that British. I mean, it's takeoff time, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. If with Sam just fighting Louis, if I go in there and put a statement in against Louis, that puts me in a good place with the Sam fight, you know what I mean? But I was in this position last time where I was fighting, but I had purse bids mandatory for the British last time, and I can't even think about Sam Gilly till I get over Friday night. So the second that fight's done, I'll switch on to Sam. But yeah, 100%. As long as I perform, I know I can. I'm going to fly this year, like you said, yeah. So.
And you've got one of his old rivals in your corner steering your career in Martin Murray. I know that's he's good for you, isn't he, Martin? I know you work really well, the pair of you.
Yeah, Martin just as never mind as a coach, just as a man, I get on with him so well. I respect him so much, and the time, the effort he puts into us is unmatched. And I think the big thing is the passion he's got for us, and he really does care. Like if we have bad ice skating, if we had bad sparring days, he's fuming. He has a big cob on all day, and he's hard on us, but it's good. It's for the best, you know what I mean?
And in terms of the main event, I mean, last time you were talking up Francis Ngannou's chances against Tyson Fury because, of course, you're from an MMA background as well. How do you see Francis Ngannou doing against Anthony Joshua?
Well, I can tell people. I told people last time, and no one listened to me. But it's no. I think what you've got this time is you've got Francis Ngannou, who does things that he shouldn't be able to do over and over and over again. But now you've got that man who's a special person, who's got the upset that he had last time, even though he didn't get the win. That performance wasn't meant to happen against Tyson, and so now you've got that extra bit of confidence in himself, and people are going to believe him and be behind him. That's one side of it. But then you've got AJ, who's back to sort of his old ways, and he's sort of found a second wind in himself. And I do believe it's going to be a fantastic fight.
Can't wait for it. Thank you. Can't wait for your fight as well, Jack McGann. We're going to swap you out. We're going to give your mic back to Matt Macklin here, and we're going to let you go. Thank you so much, Jack. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, we had a bit of a handshake moment there, Matt.
It's an absolute minefield. Boxing and handshakes is a minefield. COVID kind of simplified everything because you're only allowed to fist bump. Otherwise, is it a handshake? Is it like that? Is it a fist bump? Are you going to handshake and then lean in? It's a minefield. Oh, it's awful.
Well, let's bring in Mark Chamberlain. Mark, it's loud in here and it's quite buzzing in here. You must be loving it, right?
Yeah, just soaking it all in, really. Great experience and proud to be part of it.
Talking about how years ago you went to watch Anthony Joshua in a stadium somewhere. You were there as a fan, hadn't turned over pro yet. Now you're on his undercard.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, I went and watched him when I think I was about 15 or 16 at the time with my friends, and here we are today, Saudi Arabia on the undercard. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
I know you've told this story a few times, but I'm going to have to ask you to tell it again. The phone call that you got from His Excellency to offer you this fight, the whole thing was quite unexpected, wasn't it? Just tell us what happened.
Definitely. I was out on a works do Christmas meal with the boys I used to work with, and so Frank rang me at like 9:30 p.m. our time, and it was around about like December time when they had the other show in Riyadh, and just answered the phone, asked how each other was, and he said, I've got an opportunity here, Mark, I'll let His Excellency explain, and passed me on the phone to him and didn't really know what to say, and he was like, do you want to fight in Saudi Arabia on the 8th of March? Yeah, sign me up, I'll be there. And here we are.
Matt, that's a great phone call to receive. I'm sure you, when you were fighting as well, were always waiting, when's the next big fight going to come? And it's come for Mark Chamberlain now.
No, unbelievable, you know. And I've no doubt you're going to go out there and give it everything you've got and perform. And you want to get back here.
Yeah.
You perform and steal the show. And everyone wants to steal the show, don't they? No matter what fight you are on the card, you want to put in a performance that people are talking about afterwards and catch the eye of the people, the organisers and the funders. And, you do well and you win and you box well. Who's to say you won't be back out here again?
Definitely. Obviously, for His Excellency to personally pick me in precise, like to say that he liked me as a fighter and that to come out here is massive, I guess. The man who's changed boxing, wanting a local lad from Waterlooville, Mark Chamberlain, out in Riyadh, so it's great.
It's fantastic, but you've got Gavin Gwyn. He's no easy touch. He's a man with plenty of ambitions for himself.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't took Gavin lightly. Well, we don't take none of our opponents lightly, but obviously Gavin Gwyn is a big step up for me at this point in my career. I've had 14 fights now, and I think the timing's right, and it's the right fight at the right time for me to push on, I guess.
And his last fight, he took on a southpaw, Emiliano Marcelli, who took his unbeaten record, but he had a bit of grief in that fight as well, got wobbled a little bit. What did you take from that?
I mean, I won't go off of that performance, but if he was in there with me that night and that happened, I would have been all over him. So, I mean, up until the stoppage, Gavin was getting punched all around the ring. But I'll just say it how it is, literally. He was getting beat. Like I say, he probably might have had an off night, but he certainly won't be able to afford to do that on Friday night with me.
Fighting words, Matt.
Oh, definitely. Love it. Bit of salt and pepper on it, you know what I mean? Spice it up.
Andy, this is such a good fight, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, it's a really good fight because all the chat was that you and Sam Noakes were getting on, but they've managed to, skillful as they are, Queensberry, take you down kind of different routes. You know, Gavin vacated the British. Sam Noakes won that recently, and now you're boxing the European champion. The EBU title isn't on the line, but it doesn't really matter in a sense, because if you take that scalp, then you take that scalp. I mean, you've bedded in with that IBF European title, but this is the perfect next step for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. I won't shy away from nothing. I like a challenge, hence why we're here and fighting Gavin Gwyn in the opponent. So, yeah, I'm all for it.
Listen, I'm sure we'll ask you a few times in the week, but right now, on Grand Arrivals Day, how do you see your fight going on Friday night?
Our next two
I don't expect it to be easy, but I expect to come out with a victory.
Okay, we look forward to it. Great to speak to you. Mark, if you want to give your mic back to Matt over here. Fantastic stuff. Mark Chamberlain. I think we're going to speak to Gavin Gwyn very shortly as well. But I think making their way now, it's starting to get very, very serious down there.
19 wins, 11 of his 19 wins coming by way of
Well, it was great to speak to Mark Chamberlain. Let's now speak to Gavin Gwyn. Gavin, great to see you. I mean, for you, you were talking about maybe giving up boxing, maybe going back to work. I'm glad you didn't, because look at this.
Yeah, exactly. Just after I beat Sean McComb in lockdown, that was, just couldn't get any fights, and I had a word with my wife. I said, look, I'm not earning no money, I'll have to go back to work. And then I had a call in for a fight, and it's just changed my life. Like, yeah, it's just the last 2 years, it's just gone from level to level to level, just kept on going up, and look where I am now. It's amazing, like, yeah.
What have you made of the fight week so far? This is only Grand Arrivals Day. You still got your workout, you got your presser. It's only going to get bigger and better.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I'm loving every second of it. I'm just soaking it all up. But it's just an amazing experience, and one that will stay with me for a lifetime. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing what can happen, isn't it? If you just kind of stick with it. I know Massey Hughes is a good pal of yours, and you kind of spoke to him around that time, and you think about what he's done. I think about a fighter like Jason Cunningham, who was, again, working away, didn't just really seem to be happening for him, and then you just something happens, and things start to click into place. And now, you know, as Dev said, you're here, and you can't get a smile off your face.
Yeah, it's all about just that grit and determination. I think it is as well, like not being like spoon-fed opponents and things like that. I always have to go in the backyards of these opponents as well. It's been hard, but it's all paying off now, and I'm so glad I stuck at it. Yeah.
But you got Mark Chamberlain.
Yeah.
He's got big plans in this sport. He caught the eye of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Clearly a fighter who's become a bit of a favourite.
Yeah, 100%. I'm probably an underdog going into this fight, but every time I'm the underdog, I always win. So, yeah.
Real life Rocky.
Yeah, it is a real life Rocky story, yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Listen, there's a WBA international belt on the line for your fight. Hey, the full champion is Gervonta Davis. You keeping a little eye on what he's doing?
I'll fight anyone. As long as the money's right, I'll fight anyone. Like, I don't care who I fight. Do you know what I mean?
Sounding like a young Matt Macklin.
I was laughing there when he was describing his journey. You know, he was telling the wife, I might have to go back to work, and you're out here and you win, and other doors open up, and then you get there and people say, it was like a 10-year overnight success. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
that's
that
what it is.
diagram success. Everyone sees this, but they don't see all those
The
years
dips,
of
the
disappointments
lows,
and setbacks.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it, but I've got to go on, keep going, and you keep knocking that door, and eventually it'll open.
It's going to open, yeah, and that's what I done. Just kept my head down, kept training, just taking short notice fights as well sometimes, but it happened for me, and I'm so thankful that I did just keep on it,
And it's still happening.
It's still happening, and for the next 3 or 4 years, I'm young, I'm hungry, do you know what I mean?
Well, Mark Chamberlain says that you've never boxed anyone like him. What do you think?
Probably haven't. I boxed a lot of southpaws, a lot of tricky southpaws, but he's a come forward southpaw, punches a bit, so I probably haven't boxed anyone like him, but I've sparred thousands of rounds of people like him, so there's no thing there,
You come forward, he comes forward, fireworks, right?
It's a war, isn't it? Everyone wants to see a war, blood and guts, and I'm up for one.
Fantastic. I mean, this is what we like the sound of, Matt.
Definitely.
Great to speak to you, Gavin Gwyn. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much. We want to give your mic back to Matt here. Best of luck to you, Gavin Gwyn. I mean, what a story. What a story about not giving up and just cracking on. You like that one, Matt?
I love it, and I think most fighters, or certainly a lot of fighters anyway, can identify with that. They can totally relate to what he's saying. It'll be different, everyone's individual, but that's sticking with it, going from setback after setback without losing the enthusiasm, the passion and the belief. And it's easy to talk about it, but when you're in it, it's hard.
It's a great opportunity for both of them. It's probably not a fight that either of them expected to land on an Anthony Joshua undercard out here, but great opportunity.
No, it's massive. It's massive for the pair of them, and they both know it, and they both know that win, lose or draw, a good performance, you never know what might happen. They're not thinking about it in those terms, and someone else who's not thinking about anything other than a win is Nick Ball, who's joined us now, boxing for the WBC featherweight title against Ray Vargas on Friday night, who's just being announced by Thomas Treiber over my left shoulder. And we were saying yesterday, Nick, there's some real Liverpool history with this belt, because Paul Hodkinson from your amateur club Kirby, he won it back in the early 90s. So I mean, it would be poetic almost if you could get the win.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's good, and it's going to be good when I get the belt and take it back to Liverpool.
It's always been the WBC for you, hasn't it? That's always been the one you wanted.
Yeah, definitely. That's the best belt in boxing. Any other boxer will tell you that themselves. That's the best belt in boxing, so looking forward to getting it.
Have you had a chance to enjoy, or are you just keeping in the zone here? Because this is quite something.
Yeah, it is something else in it, Dev. Just taking each day as it comes, but obviously enjoying the moment as I'm here. Yeah, it's a massive experience for me, a massive opportunity, so I'm enjoying it.
Once again, you're going to be punching up. Once again, at the weigh-in, you're probably going to be up to about his nipple. I don't know, but are you looking forward to the challenge?
Yeah, always. Yeah, I'm always up for the hardest challenges possible in it and test myself, and this is the biggest one yet, the one I've been working for and the one I've been asking for, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
he can box as well. He's not like your typical kind of Mexican. He's not like a Lara type. He can box. He'll try and keep you on the end of something, right?
Yeah, that's it, innit? But I'm used to that. I've been fighting people like that me whole life, my whole career, the bigger people. But in terms of boxing, whatever you want to do, box, fight, I'm ready for anything, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Fantastic. Listen, we're going to ask you a few times in the week, but right now, how's this fight going to go?
A dominant performance by Nick Ball, brutal, yeah.
Fantastic. Cannot wait for it. Thank you so much, Nick Ball, for joining us. We're now going to head over to Andy Scott.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, I've got Frank Warren with me now, and Frank, we just heard from Nick Ball there. I mean, he speaks so well. This is a tough fight against Ray Vargas. One thing I would say about Queensbury and Frank Warren, timing is everything. You usually get it right. You know when the step up is ready. He's obviously mandatory for Ray Vargas. You think timing's right for Nick Ball to become a champion now?
I hope so. He's done everything that's been asked of him up to as yet. He's in with a very good fighter who's number one, I believe, number one featherweight in the world. It's not going to be an easy job, but Nick has done tremendously well. He's done everything that's been asked of him. Paul Stevenson's done a brilliant job in managing and training him. And I feel he can win this fight. It won't be easy, but he's got such a work rate. He's such a competitor, and he's hard to hit. Well, I hope he's going to be hard to hit, but he is hard.
He has been so far, yeah.
But he is. I mean, people just think he walks forward, but he doesn't. He slips, he misses. It's a bit like, Duran used to do that in the early days. He'd slip and slip to get, but people didn't appreciate the evasiveness. I genuinely do feel he has a great chance of doing it. If he does, it'd be a fantastic victory for him.
Yeah, you feel it opens up. There's so many big fights at that weight.
Great fight. There was a good fight the weekend in the States.
I heard that they were calling out Nick Ball. They said, because I think Ray Ford was talking about moving up straight away, and Eddie Hearn was speaking to him afterwards to say, look, you wait around, you never know.
Let's see what happens. I mean, this is so important. I mean, the British interest on Friday night is tremendous. I mean, besides the main event, you look down the card, you've got Mark Chamberlain on there. We've got some great opportunities for the fighters to establish themselves. And Mark Chamberlain, His Excellency, specifically asked for him to fight on the card.
Well, he's asked for a good fight as well, because that is a savage match-up against Gavin Gwyn.
Gavin don't come to make up the numbers. I mean, the two of them, it's going to be a great... this is a good fight card. It's a great fight. Knockout chaos. It's well named.
Perfect. Frank, thanks very much. Dev, back to you guys.
Well, we can see Joseph Parker now, currently on there. Great to hear from Frank. I'm sure we'll hear from him again. We can see Joseph Parker. There's a lot of talk about yes men in boxing. This guy might be the ultimate yes man, Joseph Parker. He says yes to Deontay Wilder. He says yes to Joe Joyce. He's now said yes to Zhilei Zhang.
Yeah, and listen, people love him for that, Well, they love him for many reasons. He's a real humble, down-to-earth guy. He's funny. Those lockdown videos were hilarious. And he's a guy that's picked himself up off a couple of losses, and he hasn't given up. He hasn't lost belief. Look, after you lose a tough loss like the Joe Joyce one, he'd achieved a bit in his career. He'd been a world champ. He'd achieved a lot in his career. He'd been a world champion, etc. Some people might have thought, you know what, I've had enough. I'm done now. The little run he's been on recently, he's as good as he's ever been. I honestly think the link up with Andy Lee, I know he had the loss with Andy Lee as well, but he didn't lose suddenly think, that confidence doesn't work, that relationship doesn't work anymore. Let's go with a new trainer. And after get to know a new trainer, he's stuck with Andy. They've got a great relationship. He believes in Andy. Andy believes in him. And that's to me, when I look at boxer trainers' relationships, that's one I think, they've got it, they have. And you know what? Zhang is a really tough fight. He's a banger, he's a southpaw, he's a massive lump, isn't he? And he's underrated, good short, sharp punches, which he showed against Hrgovic. He was brilliant. It is a hard fight. You'd probably say Zhang's the favourite, but I wouldn't write off Joseph Parker.
Well, Andy, it's one of those where Zhilei Zhang has back-to-back wins, stoppage wins over Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce has a stoppage win over Joe Parker. And now Zhang takes on Parker, but Styles makes fights, does ABC...
Listen, I'll tell you a good one. Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali in their first fight, and listen, they had wars in the second two. George Foreman blew Joe Frazier out in a round, and Kenny Norton gave Muhammad Ali fits. George Foreman blew him out in a couple of rounds. Muhammad Ali boxed his head off and stopped him. Styles make fights, and that one there shows it.
Yeah, the metrics of boxing are really, really complicated a lot of the time, and I'm fascinated by Zhang because I saw him box early in his pro career, watched him a lot as an amateur, and he was a really, really good three-round fighter. Massive, use that southpaw style and reach, very, very effective. I saw him in a four-rounder on the Cotto Canelo undercard, so in 2015. He won the first 3 rounds and got put down and gassed unbelievably in the 4th round and limped home. And at that point, I thought, anyone is going to fancy it with this guy. And he's not done that much since then, to be honest with you, to convince me that the gas tank is there. He had this mad fight with Jerry Forrest where he was 3 knockdowns up after 3 rounds, so 6 points up after 3 rounds and hung on for a draw in the end. But those 2 wins against Joyce are absolutely massive. I just wonder what will happen if Parker could take him into the second half. All right, he did the 12 against Hrgovic, but he was blowing in that second half against Hrgovic, because if he had a little bit more gas, he could have made absolutely sure of the win there.
I was just going to come in and say, even though a lot of people felt he was unlucky to not get the win against Hrgovic.
It was his own fault in a lot of ways.
A lot of it was his own fault. He had Hrgovic out on his feet a couple of times, And if he'd have just turned the screw a bit more and gone for it, he might have got the stoppage. But I think he probably was really conscious or scared of blowing up, gassing out, and he was just constantly holding a bit back. And listen, it's good to hold a bit back if you think the guy isn't ready, because you don't want to blow a gasket, but at the same time, sometimes you've got to step on it a bit as well.
He's got these great boxing mechanics, though, hasn't he? He just slides that left hand out that right hook. We were both ringside for the knockout of Joe Joyce, and watching a big heavyweight getting knocked out is a real shocking kind of adrenaline shot. Yeah. You know, it gets your attention like nothing else. And he threw that left hand, and he wasn't really that bothered whether it landed or not, and then he ripped that right hook through, and Joe went down like, you know, one of those old casinos being detonated. It was a hell of a moment, and it was my knockout of the year, because you had 40 stone of heavyweight in the ring that night, and when you see one of them just levelled like that. I mean, somehow he got up on about 10.5, didn't he? I don't know how, but Zhang has got that. I mean, he's got some heavy
lump,
hands.
Though. He's not just a lump.
No, the technique
against Turkovic, like, you know, he's threading those shots through the gaps. He was good. He was impressive.
It is that. And with Zhilei Zhang, you know, I'm not sure how many times he's been the distance. You talked about how Joe Joyce couldn't get him to the second half of the fight. Joe Parker has been to deep waters, win or lose. Think about that fight with Dillian Whyte, where he had Dillian Whyte over in the final round.
Oh, one more punch and that was it, you know, and he was put down and badly kind of buzzed early in the fight, Parker, and we were really close to his corner, and Kevin Barry was constantly working on him for a few rounds, just trying to get him back in the room. Yeah. But even on autopilot, he managed to stay in the room, and then towards the end came back into it. And against Joyce, I mean, in the end he got stopped. But wow, I mean, some of the shots he took in that fight, and he was landing some good shots too, so it's such a hard fight to pick this.
When you look at the current heavyweights, you'd probably say Parker probably the fittest, is he? The best conditioned. He does the 12 rounds. He's mobile. He's got good speed. You know, Fury's Usyk. Fury can't look past them either. But what I'm saying is, outside of Usyk, Fury, he's right up there, isn't he, Parker? In terms of the best conditioned heavyweights, he can go at a hot pace. I don't think Zhang can go. I don't think Zhang will be able to go anywhere near that pace. I think that's the key for Joseph Parker: his pace, tempo.
And in terms of Parker, let's talk a little bit about the win-loss resume. It's something actually that Andy Lee brought up at his post-fight presser after he beat Deontay Wilder. On his resume, win or lose, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, Derek Chisora, Joe Joyce. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, well, that's why he's he's still in big fights. You know, how many years ago was it that he lost to AJ? Was that 2017?
18.
March 18, yeah.
And then he boxed Dillian Whyte about 4 months later.
You know, and then he's just gone, like you say, last time down to Wilder, no one was queued up to fight him, were they? So he'll just has gloves, will travel.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly. And I think an impressive thing about him was, after that Joyce defeat, I know he wanted to box again before the end of the year, and that was in September. He boxed Jack Massey in the January. Not a great performance, but he boxed. And then he took a fight back in Australia against Figer Opolu, a former Australian champion, for what would have been, in his terms, nothing. I mean, he basically boxed for free that night in relative terms, Parker, because he wanted another fight. And most people who've done what he's done, they wouldn't have done that. No. But it was another camp, another fight. Then Simon Keane, good performance. It's not a coincidence.
Activity matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Activity matters. That's how you stay sharp. That's how you get sharp, stay sharp. You know, when you haven't boxed for ages, obviously you're rusty and everything, but also you're a lot more nervous. It takes you longer to get into the fight. But when you're boxing all the time, you've always got a swagger. You're confident. You're sharp. You're you're bouncing from one fight into the next. And look, fighters should take note. Fighters sitting there idle, turning down fights that aren't boxing busy. Look at Joseph Parker, someone that you want to take a bit of inspiration from and follow his lead.
And was that key to him beating Deontay Wilder?
Massively so, I think. Yeah, huge. Because he was sharp. Wilder wasn't. His range, it was all out. It was no. Even your mindset's in a better place because you're in the gym, you're talking boxing, you're watching boxing, you're living it, aren't you? You're boxing around in 2 years. You're not living it. You're not going to beat someone that is.
WBO interim heavyweight championship on the line as well. Zhilei Zhang is risking his mandatory position in this one, Andy.
Yeah, he is, and whoever wins this fight could find themselves a world champion before that long, because Fury Usyk in mid-May, if we have a winner, then the rematch, should that happen, would be one fighter with all the belts against the other one with none. So some of the sanctioning bodies could take their belts out of that. We know that the IBF will. The WBO might, you never know, and in that case, history would tell you that what they'll do is promote their interim champion to full champion. So retrospectively, this could end up being a world title fight. And if it does end up being one, it's a worthy one. It's a really, really good fight.
It's two of the best heavyweights in the world right now, man.
Without a doubt, you've got former WBO world champion Joseph Parker coming off maybe a career best win, and you've got, or certainly one of them, and you've got Zhang, who's a guy that's like, burst onto the scene. He's been onto the scene, but say to the casual fan, those two big, certainly in the UK anyway, those two big wins against Joe Joyce has really put him up there, hasn't it? So, absolutely, both of them, it's a legit world title fight. Two top operators.
Well, we're going to speak to Joseph Parker, who is making his way in here. He's going to jump in next to you, Matt. And it's just, looking fantastic, fully dressed in black. Mr. Joseph Parker, how are we? We're talking about you.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me about this, right? There was a little moment yesterday with you and Zhilei Zhang. There was like a fist bump and a handshake and are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. How was all of that for you?
Before the fight, fighters show other fighters respect. And there's no reason why to waste energy outside of a fight, getting all angry and getting all tense. There's a lot of respect between us. But I know when it's fight time and fight night, it's going to be a lot different and a different story.
And you always walk towards the biggest challenges. We were just talking about this, how you said yes to Deontay Wilder, you said yes to Joe Joyce, you said yes to Zhilei Zhang, a guy who no one really wants to fight. Why do you keep saying yes?
Yes, man. In boxing, because I want to be challenged. And when you fight these big fights like this, I feel like it motivates me more and pushes me a lot better when I'm in camp and in training, and when times get hard, you think of this big challenge in front of you. So I respect Zhang and what he's done, and he thinks he's going to beat me, and I think I'm going to beat him. And I got a good game plan with Andy Lee and George Lockhart, and I'm looking forward to putting on display.
I know it's in the past now, but I'm just curious, that win against Wilder, I know in New Zealand everybody's obsessed with rugby union, but that win, it occurred to me that's a massive historic moment in New Zealand sport, isn't it? I mean, for an individual athlete, that's one of the biggest things.
I feel like it was, but when you have a fight, you sort of celebrate, but then when you have another one sort of lined up and locked in, you don't really enjoy sort of the victory and the downtime. You're sort of straight back into camp again. And I do feel like it was a massive win for New Zealand and Samoa, and hopefully we can celebrate it after a good win again with Zhilei Zhang.
He was just saying that. He said the problem with a boxing career is that you get to the end of it and you realise you haven't enjoyed it.
I'm enjoying it all, though. It's nice to be here.
Yesterday you saw Zhilei Zhang, we talked about it. You boxed him as an amateur as well. I've heard you talk about that fight. I've heard you talk about how you just looked up and there was this big man there. So what was it like yesterday? Because you're a big man now too.
Zhang is a very big man. Big head, big body, and I remember I was on holiday and they said to me, do you want to represent New Zealand overseas? I said, yeah, sweet. I wasn't in any shape and I got matched with Zhang. And I just remember thinking, holy moly. Like, there's a big man then and there's a big man now.
Well, listen, have a look at the big man making his way. Tell us what you see when you're looking at Zhilei Zhang. What do you think of this guy making his way now? He's a big guy, Joe.
He's a big man. Listen, what more can I say? He's a big man, very big man.
What did you make of his messages down the camera to you yesterday?
A lot of people had mixed messages on what he meant. It's a very good slogan.
But you've promised to be explosive Joseph on Friday. Tell us about that.
I need to be smart. I need to be explosive. I need to be quick. I need to have good movement. And it's one of those things where you have to be very smart and box him and move and pick your moments, because he's a big, dangerous man with a big punch and big power.
We were just talking before we came over how activity has obviously been great for you. After the Joyce defeat, you got straight back in the January. Then you took that fight in Australia, which we were saying, somebody who's done what you've done, people don't really take those kinds of fights anymore, to be honest, but you did it because you wanted to stay active. So it's not a coincidence that when you look at this card, you and Joshua were the ones who really performed in December because you're the ones who've been active.
I feel like activity and keeping in camp and momentum and training and eating good and just doing everything right you're obviously progressing more and getting better as a fighter. And we did do very well, Joshua and myself, and I feel it comes down to the momentum that we had keeping busy.
And Matt, that was basically what you said. You were talking about how activity was key and probably a key factor in Joe Parker's win over Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, because he was sharp. Because he's like, you know, to get sharp, it takes these camps take long, and then sometimes by the time you get there, you're a bit burnt out, not just physically, mentally, emotionally. You're in camp for a long time. But you know, when you're boxing and you're sharp, have a week off, back in the gym, you're boxing in 6 weeks. You stay sharp, and you actually get sharper again. You thought you were sharp for this fight, but you take that sharpness into this camp, and you're even sharper for the next one. So when you're boxing regularly, you get to your best. When you're boxing once a year, how can you be at your best?
Yeah. How do you feel right now?
I agree. But also there's a fine line, not overtraining, making sure you got the right balance, resting, eating well. It's fun.
But I also think when you're boxing regularly, you're less likely to overtrain. When you haven't boxed for ages, you need longer to get fit. You almost need to be in camp.
12 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever it is.
Instead
of 6 or 7 weeks.
It's too long, exactly.
I think it's too long too.
Yeah.
Did I see a few abs popping through yesterday, Joe?
It's nearly there. It's coming.
Something's
very slowly.
happening down there, isn't it?
It's taken 11 years, but it's coming.
You've got yourself in some tremendous shape. How are you expecting to weigh in? How much heavier do you think this guy's going to be compared to you?
What is Zhang's weight?
I mean, the Joyce was like 270-ish.
I'll be about 111, 112. 245. Yeah. Around about 245.
It's a big weight difference.
Pardon?
It's a big weight difference, Matt.
It is, but I think that he's not going to look to stand and have a strongman contest. Joe's going to try and use the ring, pick his moments, in and out, let a few shots go, and then move. So being lied to will make him, it'll be easier for him.
Better, elusive, more movement, and hopefully duck all them shots that come my way.
Andy, one of the things you were talking about was about how you haven't seen Zhang in deep waters for a little while, and Joe Parker goes there.
Yeah, always. And that, I think for me that's still kind of something I wonder about with him. He did the 12 against Hrgovic, but it was a struggle.
Yeah, both fighters. They were both very exhausted and tired.
Exactly.
It was a big pace, a hard pace fight.
Yeah, and we don't really know what he's like in the second half of a fight generally. And I was saying that, I saw him early in his career in a 4-rounder where he got dropped in the final round and very nearly lost. And I kind of wrote him off at that point as a really good 3-round amateur fighter, but that he wouldn't have the tank for pro boxing. And I'd say we still don't really know whether he does.
I definitely agree. At the beginning of his career, he was having issues going the distance. Recent times he has shown, but it's still questionable whether there's a lot more improvement or if he's still the same.
I don't know if you've seen the interview yet. I'm sure you've talked about it. Andy Lee did an interview with Boxing News where he sort of drew a diagram as to how the fight's going to go. He had Zhang throwing a straight left hand and you countering with that.
Check left hook. Boom.
Is that what's coming?
There's a lot of things coming from both sides. It's just that, we're visualizing different ways of how we're going to attack this and visualizing as well what he's going to do. And I think it's very important to have all these things in place, and you can pick your moments, pick your shots, and let it happen.
Were you surprised at his performances against Joe Joyce?
I'm not really surprised. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and maybe Joe Joyce's style was all wrong for Zhang's style.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it showed twice when they had the rematch.
Mr.
Fantastic, Joe. Just before we let you go, we're going to ask you again tomorrow, but how's this fight going to go on Friday?
It's going to be a good, tough fight. We're both going to throw a lot of punches, and I'm going to walk away with the win. And I'm going to go home and rest with my family, relax, come back and do it again.
Best of luck to you, Joe Parker. Wonderful speaking to you, as always. Let's get there we go. Joe Parker looking great. One of the nicest guys in boxing, Andy.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. And then it's interesting to talk about the left hook there, Matt, but if you're unorthodox fighting a southpaw, the left hook is key, isn't it? Because reaching with the right hand can be hard.
It is, but he wants to be careful, because I tried to throw that check left hook against Sergio Martinez. I got nailed with the straight left and I ended up on my backside. I didn't want to say it in any case. I didn't want to knock his tactics or his confidence, but, you throw a left hook, whoever gets there first, you know what I mean? Whoever gets there first.
Well, we're going to speak to the man he is taking on Friday night, the man they call Big Bang, Zhilei Zhang. is now with us. Matt Macklin is ducking out. Thank you, Kurt, for joining us as well. Great to see you, gentlemen.
International Boxing Hall
Tell us, yesterday you had a bit of a moment with Joe Parker, shook his hand. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? What happened there? How did you feel in that moment?
昨天你跟帕克说了，你 Are you ready? You ready? 你俩到底说了啥？
我们就是我说你准备好了吗？他说我准备好了。他又问我你准备好了吗？我说我又准备好了。然后我们 Let's go.
He kept checking if I was ready. I kept checking if he was ready. Both having that conversation.
Can we confirm that Zhilei Zhang is ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Fantastic stuff. Listen, Joe Parker, he says that, okay, this is Big Bang, but he's explosive Joseph. What does Zhilei Zhang make of that?
帕克觉得他这次绝对要有爆发力，你觉得他有爆发力吗？
他说有，应该就有。所以说他有什么和我没有关系，我就把所有的注意力集中在他身上就行了。
I believe he is, but that's none of my business. I pay attention to myself, focus on myself in the ring.
This is a giant, Andy.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, this is the third big show in Saudi Arabia. They love heavyweights. Has it been a bit frustrating for him to wait until now to get the invite? Sorry? Has it been frustrating for him to watch those two big shows here without being involved?
前2次沙特打了大赛啊，重量级的，你是等到现在才打，觉得等待的过程着急吗？
这个无所谓，时机到了，一切都会来的。我现在来到这里，这3月8号周五就是我的主场。
Everything happened in life for a reason, right? That's why I'm here right now. I think it's a perfect timing for myself. This is my ring. This is my home.
There's been a lot of talk about getting to the second half of the fight. And Joe Parker has done the rounds plenty of times, win or lose. He's gone the distance. How does Zhang feel about that? Because he hasn't done it as many times.
帕克想拖到深水区后半程打，因为他老是后半程嘛。你呢，前半程都把对手终结了，你觉得他会把你拖到后半程？你有什么应对？
那就看看他有没有那个能力把我拖到后半程。就是他有那个能力把我拖到后半程，对我来讲也无所谓。
Let's see if he can drag me to deep water. But if he does, I'm ready to fight him deep water.
He's ready for deep water, Andy.
Yeah, it's a great fight. You know, it's a fantastic fight between two really interesting characters. I'm just curious, does he feel like his boxing ability, his boxing technique is a bit underrated because he's so big?
你觉得很多人都看到你的技术，看到你的力量，但是没有看到你的技术，是这样吗？
现在大家只是看到我的力量，其实我的力量、速度、技术都有，然后包括我的很强劲的一个心脏都有。这一场比赛我让大家全看到所有。
Everybody know I have power, but I have speed, I have boxing IQ, I have technique, I have a big heart. This fight you will see.
You have a win, 2 wins over Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce beat Joe Parker. Does that mean anything?
你赢了乔伊斯2次，乔伊斯赢了帕克1次，这里面有没有什么玄机奥秘？
没有玄机奥秘，因为乔伊斯打帕克很轻松，全场碾压式的把帕克给击倒了。然后我打乔伊斯也是全场式的碾压，然后第一次6个回合，然后第2次3个回合，然后所以说打帕克更轻松。
Oh, the only thing I would say is the style makes fights, but Joe Joyce dominated Parker in the whole 11 rounds. I dominated Joe Joyce in the first couple of rounds and then brought the fight to an end. I believe I will dominate the Parker fight.
Do you expect Joe Parker to be kind of keeping away from you, skirting around the ring maybe, and you have to look for him?
你觉得帕克会游走，让你去追他吗？
他的战术应该是这样的，要他想把我拖到深水区的话，然后他肯定会全场游走，然后我有我的绝招，我有我的秘籍，然后到3月8号我会在比赛场上展示出来。
That might be his tactic, to stick and move and go around the ring. If you want to beat me to the points, that's the thing he's going to do. But I have my secret weapon, and I'll show you at the fight.
Joseph was just talking to us about when the two of them boxed in the amateurs. Does he remember that?
你记得跟帕克在业余时期打比赛的情景吗？
我知道在2011年巴库世界锦标赛，我们2个对决了一场，然后当时我以15比7的比分赢下比赛，但是我到现在对那场比赛已经没有太多的印象。
The only things I remember are 2011 Baku Azerbaijan World Championships. I beat him to the points 15-7, but I don't really remember that fight. I don't really remember how that fight played out.
Tell me this, Zhilei. This hand here, this left hand, this Chinese power. What happens if that lands on Joe Parker on Friday night?
拳头如果砸到了帕克的脸上，会发生什么事情？
我估计这2天他的睡眠不太好，然后可能说就在拳台上睡一会儿了。
If he has a little sleeping issue, I'll help him with that. But in the ring.
I don't think there's anything more to say here, Andy. Fantastic.
No, I don't think there is. Two great guys. Two great guys. Two really good fighters. Brilliant fight.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Zhilei Zhang. Brilliant stuff.
Thank you.
And we can see Francis Ngannou now, currently on camera, making his way around. And let me ask you this: you stood next to Zhilei Zhang there. He's huge, Andy. He's huge.
Yeah, he is. There's some absolute specimens on this card. There really are. I mean, the top.
Thanks very much.
Are we finding a 4-rounder for you? Are we somewhere? That would be. I'd love to see that. The top 4 heavyweights, and the other weights as well. But the heavyweights. This is why they appeal to people. This is why they have this kind of mystique, because they're not like normal people with their size and their physical abilities, their power. It's otherworldly at times, and that's why people kind of look at them with this reverence and this wonder. And it's easy to do that with somebody like him. Chinese is a brilliant sounding language as well. So, you know, when you're talking through the interpreter, he speaks just enough to kind of keep us interested, like Golovkin used to do back in the day, you know, big drama show. Usyk, I am very field, you know, you get these, you know, chat, get zhanged, which you came up with, put those words in his mouth. I love all of that. I love all of that. And it just shows that boxing is a really global sport, because we've got Joshua from the UK, we've got Ngannou from Cameroon, we've got Zhang from China, we've got Joseph Parker from New Zealand.
Yeah, all happening here in Riyadh, and we're about to very shortly see Francis Ngannou actually now join the stage here. The Predator. He's going to make his way. And what a moment for him. I mean, he knows all about Riyadh season, doesn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely does. He absolutely does. There was a real buzz around this guy back at the end of October, because look at him. He's a big star, and he's got that vibe about him. He's got that aura about him. But we didn't think he would be able to do what he did on the night. On the night, we thought that it would be an exhibition, really. We thought that he maybe show us something for a bit, but Fury would just be far too much. And then watching it at ringside was a kind of out-of-body experience for me. I don't know what it was like for you, where I'm sitting there just thinking, is this actually happening? And he did that because he's got some tools, obviously, but his greatest tool is that mental strength. You know, this is a man who truly does not believe that anything is beyond him.
I'd like to be joined here by Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren. Eddie Hearn's going to join us as well. And let's just have a look at what we're looking at. Frank, Eddie, we can see Francis Ngannou, the Predator, making his way. He is some specimen. Eddie, I know he's got you very, very nervous.
Very big. He's got a big neck. He's a scary guy, you know, and he was a scary guy before he did that to Tyson Fury, but now we know he's for real. And you know, it's the first time AJ's been outsized against someone, not just in height and he nicks it, but in mass and in size. AJ will be too fast, hopefully he'll be too good and all those things, but at any moment he has the ability to turn your lights out, and that's a very, very worrying thought with what could be down the line.
One thing you've always talked about around this fight, one word, jeopardy.
It is, because look, they're both big punchers, and if one of them, whoever lands that first big shot, what's the mindset going to be of the guy who's on the other end of it? That's going to be the intriguing thing for me, and it will also determine how the fight moves forward, because if somebody gets caught, they're not going to be wanting to be making the same mistake again, so they're going to have to go to their plan B. So it's going to be, I think it's a really, really interesting fight, exciting fight, and I genuinely do not think it's going to go the distance.
One of the things that's been spoken about is Francis Ngannou's mind, his mental strength, his story, everything he's been through, and how Anthony Joshua has to take his soul. How can you take the soul of that guy?
Yeah. I don't think you've got to take the soul. I think you've got to hurt him and you've got to knock him out, because he won't quit. You know, you've got to hit him hard enough for him to not be able to fight back, to not be able to show you how tough he is. You've got to knock him out, and that's going to be the hard thing. I said to Frank earlier, the size of his neck, he may just have a fantastic chin, and it's very likely that.
And you've got to hit him anywhere. Arms anywhere. You've got to let them bombs go. Let them feel the pain.
I think one of the keys is the tempo of the fight. You see, against Fury, and Ngannou looked like he was going to gas a few times, but Tyson went into a little bit of survival mode at the same time. If you can fight a good tempo against Ngannou, I do think he'll gas. But to do that, you've got to stay active, which is going to put you in jeopardy as well by staying active. Part of me just thinks, AJ, just get on your bike for 10 rounds. But you don't want to do that either, because you don't want Ngannou walking you down. So it's got to be educated pressure, it's got to be smart, and you've got to hurt him.
Is he going to do like he did in the Ruiz fight, the second fight, or is he going to come forward and impose himself? He's got the tools to do it, AJ. Obviously, he's got a great jab. He's got, it's basic stuff. It's just 1-2s. You've got to keep it nice and long, 1-2, 1-2, and that's what you've got to do. Keep him off balance. But that's a big ask of keeping a guy that size on the back foot all the time.
I mean, that's how I see it. I feel like that is what he needs to do. As you say, though, if you can hurt him, that would be ideal. But you don't want to get too obsessed with the idea of knocking him out either, because that can be dangerous. If he gets to the end of 10 rounds and he's got a pair of seriously sore hands, but he hasn't been able to get the knockout on one, you'll take that, won't you?
I'll take any victory. I don't care if he goes down 9 times and the other bloke goes down 10. As long as we win, it don't really matter. But, it's just one of them that at the end of the fight, you just go, thank God that's over, because this is a risky fight.
It's better he gets the sore hands and the sore ass.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Listen, the fight will be at a tempo. I don't think it's going to be a slow fight. I think they may just the first round just come and size each other up, but I generally think, if I was Ngannou, if I'm Ngannou's trainer, I'll be telling him, you've got to go and put it on him. You've got to look for that shot. You've got to look for that big shot and let him go. You've got to hurt him, and he's got to do that. He's not going to outbox AJ. He's not going to outbox him. So that's what you've got in front of you. You've got him, that big lump over there, that big monster in front of you. That's what he's got.
How much better can Francis Ngannou get? That was his first fight. Hey, he did okay.
You don't know. Who knows? He may learn from it. He's an intelligent guy. He may learn from it. I think the trainer he's got is quite a smart guy, because they certainly got him ready for Tyson. Although, as I said earlier, I do feel Tyson had an off night, but he's still done what he had to do. But I don't know. They're not stupid. They know what they've got to do. But also with Ben Davison and with AJ, they know what they got to do. They ain't going to take a lot of working out. It's just going to be a battle of wills on the night. It's going to be a lot of men. It's going to be as much as it's a very physical fight. It's going to be a battle of wills mentally as well.
Can he stop him? Is he going to try and stop him?
Yeah, again, it comes down to the tough. We know Ngannou's going to be tough, but I don't think Fury landed a couple of shots on him and he didn't seem two-faced, but AJ punches with a little bit more sharpness, and I don't know. I mean, I hope so, because if you go through 4 or 5 rounds hitting him with some big shots and don't move him around, what Frank said about the mental aspect, that changes, because you start thinking, and Frank's right. Both fighters, I think, need to take the middle of the ring in this fight. If you're AJ, the last thing you want is Francis Ngannou walking you down. He's got to take control of the middle of the ring. He's got to use his jab. He's got to ping him back to the ropes, and once he hits the ropes, he's got to go twice. But also, he's got to worry about what's coming back, because we saw it against Ngannou. He's not afraid to let his hands go when you throw. That's how he dropped Tyson Fury. Fury landed with a big right hand, then he threw the left hook. And that's exactly what happened in the Andy Ruiz fight. And in fact, I'm absolutely petrified. Can we stop talking about this?
You're sweating up, Eddie. Eddie, Frank, wonderful speaking to you both. Thank you very much. We're going to swap you out, and we're going to very shortly bring in Francis Ngannou. I'll take that off of you, Eddie Hearn. Great to have Eddie and Frank on there together, just sort of chewing the fat on the main event.
Absolutely, and they just ran through the possible permutations very well there, because I absolutely agree. You have got to take the centre of the ring. You've got to try and impose your authority on the fight, but I wouldn't use the word worry about what's coming back, because that, to an extent, I think that is what he has done at times since he got caught by Andy Ruiz. You've got to be mindful of what's coming back, but you can't be too concerned about it, because at heavyweight, anything can happen at any time, and you can't worry too much that you might get clipped high on the head by a left hook, as he did by Ruiz, as Fury did by Ngannou. Because if you're in that mindset, Johnny, where you're too worried about what's coming back, then you're in the wrong business, aren't you? So he's got to be he's got to be spiteful, Joshua. He's got to throw with authority, but he will know that it will be like Andy Ruiz. If he hurts him and gets to him, he can expect leather to come back in his direction.
This is the only sport where you cannot go in and expect complete success if you're second guessing, thinking twice, thinking a second longer than you should do about your reaction. If you're a reactive fighter, you're a successful fighter. If you're a fighter that's having to think twice about what you instinctively have learnt to do, have boxed and prepared to do all your career, you're always going to stop your development. So both fighters need to go on there with their game plan, what they've got to do, their intention, and not to worry about, if I do this, that's going to happen. They know what they've got to do. They've got to use, they've got to impose their will on the other.
One thing, Johnny, I've actually heard you talk about is about how AJ could have a lot of success and Ngannou could be there to hit, and maybe AJ shouldn't get drunk on that success.
That's what. Listen, don't get greedy. We've seen it before. We saw it with Zhang and Joyce. You get greedy, you stay there, you become a target, and you get popped. Anthony Joshua has all the speed, the ability, the distance and the jab and the power, the big back right hand, the time counters that he's got, all the boxing ability in the world to totally outbox this man. If you want to make it even, stand there and toe-to-toe with him. And then you give a man a chance. I shouldn't have one. And Ngannou, his job is to get up close and personal. Make Anthony Joshua work under pressure he doesn't want to work at. Make Anthony Joshua make mistakes that he doesn't want to do. Because once you start making mistakes, you start deviating from the game plan. Once you start deviating from the game plan, that's when accidents happen.
Absolutely. I think a key thing is if he gets 7 or 8 rounds deep, Joshua, and it's all going according to plan and what he's doing, working jab, double jab, right hand, step off even, just keep that force field around you that starts at the end of that lead left hand. If it's going well, as he said, don't get greedy, just keep doing that, because I always think about that fight between Michael Moorer and George Foreman where Moorer, you know, he was winning it easily, and then towards the end he's thinking, I want a bit of a flourish here, I'll set my feet a little bit, and he got knocked out.
I'll give you another example. Harold Graham, Julian Jackson. Harold Graham was totally outboxing, peppering him. He had it done. The referee came to round, said, I'm giving him one more round. Harold Graham thought, everybody says I'm a fancy dan, I can't punch. I'm going to go for glory and knock him out. He woke up 4 hours later in hospital. Do you understand? So in our sport, everything has to align right to get the success you need. Now for these two guys, this is legacy changing for their careers. For Ngannou, of course, to do this, to gate crash our sport, I keep talking like that, but him to do that, then this is his legacy. This is where he's thinking, you know what, once bitten, twice shy, I'll do this again. For Anthony Joshua, he needs to stand firm to say, look, I've not gone through all the ups and downs in our sport to slip up right now. It's that big if. It's the big if we're playing with.
It's the big if, and we can see Anthony Joshua on camera now preparing to take to the carpet here, make his grand arrival. He's no stranger to events like this, and he's looking every part a specimen. But look, he doesn't look as big as Francis Ngannou, Andy.
No, and then he made a good point there, because Anthony will come in around about 250, you'd have thought, and Francis will be more like 270, 275, and it's all muscle. Every single, ounce, pound of it, it's all muscle. So he will be giving away weight, and that's not something that has generally been the case. And I think he will mentally, he'll be booking in for a long job here, potentially, because there's that old adage in boxing, isn't there? The more you look for the knockout, the less likely it is to come. And I think that is the perfect kind of tagline for him for this fight.
And listen, about the smallest unit in the world, if we do get Ngannou on here, if we do get Anthony Joshua on here, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is just pure mountain of a man. He's big, land of the giants, but the thickness, the depth. Here it comes. Going to get that. And this is the difference that it's going to make.
Well, here is Francis Ngannou, the Predator. Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. Back here in Riyadh, back to where you put on a great performance against Tyson Fury. The music.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
How does it feel to be back here?
Feels good. I've been here for 7 weeks? Since London, I've been here.
A lot of people are talking about overcoming your mind. Anthony Joshua said your biggest strength is your mind. Are they overlooking your boxing? Your mind, your mental strength. Are they overlooking your boxing skills?
Slow down a little bit.
Anything, is it? That's how we roll.
I don't know, usually in the step like this, they have the headsets. So we can hear each other in the headset, but here I'm having a hard time.
Well, what we can see is Anthony Joshua down there. And now the music has gone down a bit. Francis, we can chat now. We can chat. Francis, tell me, look, one of the main things at the launch press conference, they talked about your mind, overcoming your mind. What about your boxing? Are they overlooking your boxing?
Overlooking my boxing? What do you mean by overlook? If I'm overlooking my boxing?
Underestimating.
If I underestimate my boxing?
If they're underestimating your boxing.
Well, I think so. I think they underestimate me, first of all, because, you know, again, I can stand here and just say, oh, I'm the best boxer ever live, like all those stuff, which doesn't make sense, right? But what I do know is that I'm a man, I can use some fundamental and I can fight, you know, like, even without ever doing a boxing, I wouldn't give my ground, right? So I'm here doing this and then be dedicated into it, and then I don't understand why at some point I will not believe that I will get it done. You know, it's the same thing when I get in the UFC. I was in the UFC after 2 years, and then even 2 years in the sport for me, it was just like, oh, I was just having fun because it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do boxing, but the opportunity came around 2 years after, and then I'm like, damn. I was in the locker room. I'm like, what's the rules again? You know, and then they was telling, talking about our resume, our record, and this guy was a Brazilian Olympic wrestler. He was this, he was black belt jiu-jitsu, and me, I was basically nothing. You know, I mean, in order to convince myself, I have to look, you know, take my pride, and then look at myself. I'm like, I don't care whatever you say about him. He might be doing Tyson or whatever you want. At the end of the day, he's a man, I'm another one, and we're gonna check it out. You know, I had to have that mindset. Otherwise, I would have just turned around. I has nothing with the guy that was Olympic this, that. You know, so then he walks out, and those kind of things let you understand that most of the time, the fight is in our head. It's not about the techniques, it's not about this. I have seen like the best technician in the combat sport that are not really a great fighter because they don't really have a fighting in them. You know, you can have all the techniques, but if you don't have fighting in you, it's going to be hard for you.
Well, Andy, it's fascinating to have, just to hear Francis, but fascinating to have another heavyweight contender now clearly in the mix here in Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, it is. It's very unusual for this to be the case. Just hearing you speak there, what would you say is the most difficult thing about fighting for you? What do you find most difficult about it?
Well, everything is difficult, you know, like, but you become a fighter when you practice the things that are difficult for you and make it even the thing that, and get to the point that you enjoy it, you know. You enjoy putting yourself in that uncomfortable zone, feel uncomfortable when you start to enjoy that. Then basically, even though stuff are still difficult, but you handle it differently, you know. Like you get something, you go to do something difficult, and then you're stressed, at the same time you're excited. You need that excitement, like, oh man, you know, I don't know, it could be inspiring or whatever. You're like, damn, I'm gonna do 10 rounds today. But you're excited. I'm like, oh, we're gonna bang. I don't care how it goes down, but we're gonna bang. So I'm excited. That gets you excited. And then when you have that fire, it gets things a little different. But if it was just like a job, like, okay, let's just do it because you have to do it, if there wasn't an enjoyment, it would have been more difficult.
Johnny, that's something people talk about a lot in boxing, isn't it? You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's right, and you can feel, you can smell the confidence of a man that believes in his own ability. It doesn't matter what resume is in front of him, no matter what fight is in front of him. And he's probably proved that in the shock that he gave us all December the 23rd. He's hoping that lightning strikes twice and say, now I know what I can do. After you fought Tyson Fury, did you walk away thinking, you know what, I could have actually done better there? Realize once you knew what you did.
Whatever fight that I have been through, I always think like you can always do better, and I think that's what make you rise. That's what elevated you, because the problem is that, and then what will make fighters fall most of the time is like when they get the victory, oh, they are the guy or they are the champ, and they think they get everything figured out. No. You have nothing figured out. In fact, it's going to be even more difficult. And if you lose sight of that, then it's going to be very complicated. Basically, in the fight that nobody was expecting me, then I get myself exposed. So the guy that is coming next time knows what he has to deal with. So it's going to be well prepared, so which is not good for me. I lose that element of surprise. So can I surprise him again? What can I bring? What kind of what can I pull off my sleeves again to surprise him and get a win? It's a gamble.
Well, we can't wait to see what more surprises you've got. You keep surprising the world every time. Francis, we're going to let you go. We'll speak to you again tomorrow at the workout. Great to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Dave. Thank you.
Francis Ngannou, the Predator. And Johnny, I just want to speak to you quickly on this. I mean, you're a big guy. He's a bigger guy.
Listen, I'm size 13 feet. He made me look like I was a size 6. I was just checking it out. I'm just saying. He's a big guy, but he talks. A fighter can always tell if a fighter is trying to bluff his way through a conversation. This guy, you can feel the confidence, the self-belief. He doesn't need validation from your eye. This guy believes in himself and what he's got to do. So now you've got two guys that are getting in the ring Friday night that seriously believe they're going to win. And I'm struggling to think, will it even go the distance? Because once one tastes blood and gets that big power shot in, the other's going to want that as well. And so this fight could really set on fire.
Well, that's their instinct. Look, they call this show Knockout Chaos. These are two big, heavy punchers. I think we're going to bring in Anthony Joshua as well very shortly. But huge, heavy hands. And Francis Ngannou, once again, the underdog. And Anthony Joshua here is the clear favourite heading into Friday.
It's got to be. It's fact. That's how it's got to be. All yours.
Anthony Joshua, Great to see you. Great to see you back here in Riyadh. How are you feeling heading into this one? Such a great win last time.
Normal. Itching to get in there now. Not long left.
But you're rolling into fight week with some great momentum, aren't you? This is a fourth fight in under 12 months, and it's not rocket science, is it? That's really worked for you.
Activity is the key. On your way up, you're active. You're showcasing your skills. You tend to get to the top, and it all slows down. First time since 2017, I've been fighting 3 times in a year. It's crazy. But the activity will pay off, and I think everything's going to work out for me Friday for sure.
You talked to us last time about how in the preparation you'd really enjoyed, just making those pads bleed in camp, building up to things, and, that showed on the night.
Yes, and we've had another good camp. It was a short turnaround, but we had another good camp, and let's go. Not much more I can say.
What would be the key for you? Your basic boxing ability? That, in my book, that's what it is, your basic boxing ability. What do you think the key for you will be?
Just be relentless. Be relentless, really. Don't fold. Be relentless. Be me. And I'll get the win.
Hungry.
Yeah, be hungry, definitely.
Johnny, one of the things you talked about was not getting drunk on your own success. Tell us more about that.
And common sense is this, Anthony Joshua, you as far as I'm concerned, it's day and night. The boxing ability, as far as I'm concerned, outweighs it. He's coming into our sport. Our sport where you've been an Olympic champion, you've been a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. You have all the ability in the world to totally outbox him. This guy shouldn't do this in our sport. When I say don't get drunk on the successes, sometimes a man's there to be hit. You think, I'm going to get a bit greedy. I'm going to do it again and again and again. I saw when you
I know what you mean.
You understand? So I saw
something's working.
That's right. That's right. I saw when you had the rematch with Andy Ruiz, you showed your boxing ability.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he couldn't outbox you. He
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
deal with you. And this is what I'd expect here. Your boxing ability you should be day and night.
Yeah, not the same style.
Yeah, I understand.
Not the same style. They're different beasts as well, but the same thing, yeah. Boxing ability does pay off at the end of the day. Boxing ability does pay off, and it will. It definitely will.
I've got to ask you this. You did the promo with him, fantastic promo,
Yeah.
and behind the scenes, like, you could see you holding your fist to him and him holding it to you.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Good. Like, naturally you always face off with your opponent and you size them up, even though it doesn't mean anything, but you can take something away. So it was good to actually meet my opponent face to face weeks beforehand. Got some footage, the guy's done some recording, and I can just look at that and go over it in my head and what I'm going to do. So it was a good moment for me, and it's helped me during my training camp.
One of the things I've heard you talk about is how actually you're not just watching his fight footage, you're watching interviews. You're trying to sort of see what's going on in his head. Tell us more about that.
So I always believe, like, everyone knows that sports and life is, for example, 80% mental, 20% physical. So it's easy to just watch someone's physicality, but it's always good to understand their mentality as well. So I also look at their mentality a lot, where they're at, where their head's at, what they're saying. And I know some intelligent people that can dissect what people say, where their head's at. The brain's a computer that controls all, so if your mind's in the right place, if my mind's in the right place, anyone's in for a tough night. I could look good, but if I'm not in the right place mentally, I won't fight good. So that's why I try and understand my opponent's mentality.
Seems in a great place, Andy.
No, that makes all the sense in the world. That makes all the sense in the world, because you just concentrate on yourself and what you can do, and we know what you can do. We know less about what he can do, but that's not your concern.
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
Let's go.
Anthony,
Thanks for being here.
We're not going to keep you any longer.
Thank you
so much, Anthony
Thank you
Joshua.
very much. Thank you.
Do you
God
think,
bless,
mate?
yeah?
Nice.
I'll give him a little thumbs up on the way out. But look, this is a cool, calm, collected guy. He knows he's here for business. And look, this whole thing's got this Street Fighter computer game theme. Could be game over, though, if this goes wrong on Friday.
What we have seen, what we witnessed, is two fighters that seriously believe in what they can do. Seriously have that calm, that cool, that focus. Two guys that believe in themselves. That's what you've just seen right now. So when the bell goes, that is what makes for something potentially very exciting, very explosive. I still do stick to my word. Anthony Joshua boxing his ears off. If he gets involved in a tear-up, that's when it's going to live up to the headline that's on the poster.
You know, it's fascinating. I bumped into Dewey Cooper last night, Francis Ngannou's trainer, and he talked about in that Fury fight, they kept Ngannou on a leash. They weren't sure that he had the rounds in him, and now they can let him off the leash.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's that taps into what Johnny was saying to Francis. Did you feel like, actually, you know what, I could have put my foot on the gas a bit more there? And Dewey Cooper's a great character. You walk away from a chat with Dewey Cooper thinking Francis Ngannou is definitely going to win this fight. He's one of those guys. And AJ's trainer Ben Davison joins us now. I was just saying that anytime I have a conversation with Dewey Cooper, or whatever it is that he's trying to convince me of, I walk away from it thinking, you know what, he's probably right. That's probably going to happen. He's very, very persuasive. What's been persuasive for us with yourself and Anthony is the performance that we saw before Christmas. He seemed to have a lot of clarity about what it was he was trying to do in there, and that, you should take some credit for that.
Well, the thing is, he's an Olympic gold medalist. He was a two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. He's got all of these skills already. All we've done is help him understand the tools that he's already got in his tool bag, how to use them, when to use them, how to create opportunities to use them, and just a bit more understanding with the toolbox that he's already got. Like I say, he's a two-time unified heavyweight champion.
That's true, but for a while it looked like he'd lost that tool bag a bit, hadn't he?
I don't think he'd ever lost the tool bag. I just think he'd lost sight of how to maximise his capabilities. He's a brilliant counterpuncher. We've seen that from way back. So being able to create opportunities where he can use that, and how he punches, false meeting false, he's got the capabilities to knock anybody out.
What are you expecting of Ngannou? Because against Tyson Fury, he was very, very patient. He was just saying, come on, Tyson, you're the boxer. Come and land if you want to come and land on me. Do you think he'll have that same patience against AJ?
I don't really know, to be honest with you, but being honest, I think the way that Anthony's going to go about the fight, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. I think AJ will be in control of certain situations. We're prepared for him to be gung-ho, be aggressive, and try and bring the fight. And I'll be honest, I don't think he lasts if he does that. One, I don't think his engine lasts if he approaches the fight like that. And two, I think he gets clipped if he goes about the fight like that. And if he's patient, I think AJ's got the capabilities and the skill set to gradually, systematically break him down and get him out of there that way as well.
Do you think that the main issue for you and AJ was getting his mind in order in regards to saying, believing, having validation, believing what he's got?
So there was a great conversation that we had when he first come down the gym where we were saying to him, this is an issue, you keep doing this and this is an issue. And there was not much, but there was a little bit of resistance to what we were saying in this specific thing. Eventually coming one day and he just said, I want to disagree but I can't because you've got the evidence. We record every spar, we go through fights, examples. It's not this is what we want it to be, this is what it is. It's evidence based. When you do this situation often occurs. And I think that's been a massive eye-opener to him, and that's led to confidence because he understands now.
Oh, well, why do you think that is at this stage? Looking at all the successes he's had, why do you think he's got to a point where he's not seeing what you saw?
Because I just think a lot of the time it's opinion-based. I think a lot of the time certain gyms have a style that they like to teach. We don't do that. We'll look at a fighter's capabilities and build something from there. That might be physical attributes as well, temperament, all of these things. So I just think again, clarity is a very good word because I think that's what he's got. He now understands that certain postures, certain things that I do are going to draw certain reactions from opponents, and he's also got an answer if the reaction changes because opponents' reactions will change. So I just think that understanding and clarity's come through. And I think that's made the difference.
Do you feel that that's more kind of modern sport now, that people are more driven by things that are just true, as in data, evidence-based stuff, like stuff that's on camera? Because I've been watching Drive to Survive the last few weeks. My wife's obsessed with it. And Toto Wolff, the Mercedes guy, always just says the stopwatch doesn't lie. You know, and there are certain things that they cannot be argued with. And is he one of those people who, does he like that kind of thing? To see stuff and think, okay, yeah.
He's a very good visual learner, so we'll have moments in sparring where contrast it really works for him. See, when you did this was what was happening. When you did this is what was happening. He learns a lot from that. I think people think that we do this number crunching, data crunching. It's got no relevance to boxing. We don't do no statistics, no nothing like that. We just look at footage, film footage. And Lee Wiley always makes a good point in terms of American football, and I think that old school in boxing is like, there's only so much you can do through film and you can't prepare and people's reactions are going to change. There is no more variations in outcomes than in American football. How many players are on the pitch, how many different plays they may make. But they study film. They are very big on studying film, and there's so many different outcomes that can happen from that. So if they could do it with however many players on the pitch and how many different plays that they can make, we can do it with one man standing in front of you with footage to go back and say, when you do this, most of the time, this is the opponent's reaction.
Well, people have been talking about how now there are 10 rounds to study, and you've got that, and I'm sure you're freeze-framing it all meticulously, as you talked about. But I've also heard you say you've been looking at the UFC fights as well. Tell me about that.
To a degree, but I just think they're very similar. I don't think there's a massive difference between his approach in the stand-up game to that and the boxing that we saw. And again, you know, he's going to have learned. It's another camp. What experience to have had 10 rounds against Tyson Fury on a stage like this. I'm sure he's going to come slightly better, maybe a little bit more composed. But, you know, if AJ goes about his job properly, the reality is he shouldn't be, and I don't think he will, live with Anthony Joshua.
What are the strengths and weaknesses of Ngannou?
I think one thing that we mentioned there was composure. That was something that I didn't expect to see. Obviously, his physique. Any man that is that big and that strong and punches that hard brings a threat, obviously, you know.
Weakness
is lack of experience, lack of skill. And I think he's openly said that himself, you know. My will and my determination is what that's what he's been saying. So I think he knows that there's a difference in levels, but any man that's that size and that strong and can punch that hard, you know, is a threat. And we have treated him with respect, like we're preparing for someone who is a world champion and of that standard and of that experience.
Just last one. You don't want to. It's dangerous to overestimate someone as well, though, isn't it? You don't want to underestimate anybody ever, but you also don't want to overestimate them, because that way you might end up just not really imposing yourself on the fight and giving them too much respect.
And I think that's key. I think that's really key. And I think that's an issue that Tyson made. I think that once he got in there and felt the strength of Ngannou, I think that he probably hadn't prepared himself. I think he prepared himself physically, but maybe not mentally. And with the respect of treating him and preparing with him with respect. And I'm sure he did, because he's a true professional, Tyson. But, when you're in there sometimes and you go in there with lackadaisy mentality, it's hard to then turn it on. Very hard. It's easier to be on and then bring it down a peg or two. It's really hard to step it up. But we've treated him with respect. We've not overestimated him, but we've treated him and prepared with respect.
Ben, wonderful speaking to you. Always good to get that insight from Ben Davison. We're going to swap you out for another man who believes his man's going to win. Dewey Cooper. Look at this little handshake here between Dewey Cooper and Ben Davison. Dewey, great to see you, my friend. He's the man. Dewey Cooper is the man. Listen, Andy Clark said every time he speaks to you, he goes away thinking, Ngannou's going to win.
You're a very persuasive man. You are a very persuasive man.
Thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be here with you three gentlemen. Francis came out to started from the bottom, now he's here. Never underestimate a man who started from the bottom and dug and climbed his way to the top. There's something deep within him that's going to refuse to lose.
You really fancy this one, don't you? How much better has he got from the Fury fight to now?
Much better. Eon's a huge leap, guys. He's much better. You'll see better footwork. You'll see better balance. You'll see a better switch hitter. You'll see him improved in every aspect. Conditioning also.
Looking back at that fight against Tyson, it wouldn't have surprised you how well he did, but it did surprise everybody else. And we gave him huge credit for it, and correctly so. But did you look back on it and think to yourself, we could have done a bit more there, we should have won that fight?
Absolutely. I still thought we won the fight, but I was telling him to, take it easy, don't overexert, because it was his first outing doing a 10-round fight. That's a huge task in itself. Fighting against Tyson Fury, are even more huger task, if that's the word. In retrospect, he could have went 15% harder, but things happened the way they were supposed to. He has another outing 4 days away. Anthony Joshua's in big trouble. Francis Ngannou is a much improved fighter, and he's going to show the world this wasn't luck. Lightning will strike twice in Riyadh. It struck to start it off, it's going to strike to end it.
Are you concerned stamina may be an issue?
Absolutely not. That was a deep concern in the first fight, because it was his first time. That's why we're employing him to, settle down, don't overexert. That won't be the case Friday night.
How many various sparring partners have been using for this?
We have 4 different sparring partners, really good guys, strong sparring. You don't want to know the combined records of the guys that he sparred against. I shouldn't be telling you this, but the combined record was 47-1. We sparred a number of undefeated guys and one guy with only one loss, and that was a disqualification, a fight he had won every round of. So Francis did not get spoon-fed or baby-fed or baby steps in this camp. He fought tough guys, and he managed the sparring very well. We're happy, we're confident. He's ready, physically, spiritually, mentally, and conditionally ready to, put that work in on Joshua.
And let me ask you this question. Last time we saw in preparation for the Tyson Fury fight, Mike Tyson popped up. Is he going to pop up at any point this week?
I'm sure he is. I haven't seen him much this camp, but it's okay. He gives Francis motivation, and just being supportive of Francis is enough to psychologically push Francis to be even greater than what he already is. And we're going to do the work regardless of who's there, but I think he will show up. Him and Tyson are very close. Mike will come through and support Francis. This is a huge fight. The whole world's going to be watching. We're looking forward to it.
I just wonder if you could confirm something for me. I did hear from an insider that when you were last here in your training camp, they set up a heavy bag, and it was one of those ones where you kind of scaffold it into the wall, so
yes.
The bracket's in the wall and it comes out from the wall. I heard that by the end of camp, he hit that heavy bag so hard that the screws had come out of the wall.
Yes. Yeah, well, he broke the bag. But he's not the only guy in history who broke bags. George Foreman broke bags on a regular basis.
Never been here.
But it's been a long time since Big George. We got King Ngannou here breaking bags, absolutely. And we weren't here that long. That all happened in less than 3 weeks. Francis is punching for real, and I can't wait for Anthony Joshua to feel a bit of him.
How are your hands, by the way? I'm surprised you can still lift them up.
Me too. I'm surprised I'm here talking regular and body okay. I've been training 2-3 times a day for the last 8 weeks. I have to do a training camp to be able to train Francis. And that's what guys don't understand. Training Francis is not an easy task. You have to be strong or you won't last very long.
The $1 million question, do you see this fight going the distance or inside the distance? What are Francis's best chances? An inside the distance win or points? Is it possible for him to win on points?
Well, of course Francis can win on points. He should have won on points against Tyson Fury. If you can beat Tyson Fury on points, you can beat anyone in the world on points. However, after that Tyson Fury decision, in a perfect world, it won't have to go down to points because hopefully politics won't get us again. I think the fight's going to end within 10 rounds, Francis stopping Anthony Joshua.
Fantastic stuff, Dewey. We could speak to you all night, but I do want to save some for tomorrow and the day after.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for speaking to us, and we will catch you tomorrow, Mr.
Thank
Dewey
you so
Cooper.
much. Please support us.
There you go, Mr. Dewey Cooper. And yeah, look, every time he speaks, best voice ever, by the way.
I know, he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. Yeah. He's got good energy.
But he makes sense as well. Yeah. It's not just hoopla and hyperbole. What he says makes sense. Mm-hmm. We'll see on the night, as we always do, but you couldn't really argue with anything that he said there. Because
it's that big if. It's the big if. That's what the argument is. Everything, common sense tells you to look one way, but that big if is getting bigger and bigger. What if? Have we got that wrong? What if? It makes it intriguing. That's what heavyweight boxing is.
Well, listen, we've spoken to Anthony Joshua. We've spoken to Francis Ngannou. You know, the fight week is going to be, keep building up and up and up. What are your reflections on seeing those guys both today, Johnny?
I think it's going to be an explosive night. I still, my gut is telling me it's going to be a distance win for Anthony Joshua, but it's going to be a hard, hairy roller coaster. Don't think it's going to go just one way. AJ will have to dig deep, but I think it's going to be a really hard fought points win.
What are you thinking, Andy?
I think that he's got the tools, Joshua, but he's going to have to put in a really good, compact, disciplined performance, make very, very few mistakes, and the concentration has got to be absolutely on point all the way through. Now, he's capable of doing that. If he can do that, then he wins the fight. But any kind of weakness that he exhibits, whether it's a slip in concentration or getting a little bit greedy, Ngannou, will be in there like water, just trying to exploit it. He can't. If he's under par, then he's bang in trouble.
He will be. Johnny, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Been great working with you today. Andy, great stuff as always. And thank you so much for joining us today. That was the grand arrivals. The fight week, we've still got workouts. We've got press conferences. We've got weigh-ins. The fight week is young, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fantasy fight. This is Anthony Joshua. This is Francis Ngannou. It all happens on Friday from the Kingdom Arena right here in Riyadh. We will see you tomorrow for the workout.